What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
2AC. Chapter 31. Doflamingo's Devil Fruit ability awakens. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. Conqueror's aura unfolded, and Doflamingo's mouth curled into a sinister and cold smile. You shameless guy, kneel down for me. Kneel before the king's conquerors. Low-born pariah. Diamante couldn't help shouting out, as if he had seen the humble appearance of Lei Luo, an ignorant fellow, gritting his teeth and kneeling in front of the young master. Conqueror's Haki is the power that can only be possessed by a born king. It is an absolute power that no one can escape. With a wicked smile, Doflamingo just wanted to say a few harsh words to make Lei Luo submit. After all, if the vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates is really made to kneel down, no one will look good. However, the next moment, the evil smile on Doflamingo's face froze. On the sea not far away, the huge tiger-headed sea kings under Lei Luo's feet yawned, and looked at him with an anthropomorphic sarcasm, as if the fox pretending to be a tiger, standing next to the tiger, the feeling is not good laughed out loud. On the other hand, Lei Luo stood on the tiger's head, with a straight body and a straight suit. His long hair and the handmade white paper flowers on his chest swayed slightly in the wind, which was particularly dazzling. Doflamingo was a little dazed. Under the crushing of Conqueror's Haki, Lei Luo was not affected at all. Does he also have the aura of the king? But what about the sea kings under his feet? A sneer twitched at the corner of Lei Luo's mouth. Conquerors. That's it. At the same time as the voice sounded, Lei Luo clenched his fist, and an incomparable aura surged from his body, and the surrounding air was slightly vibrating, no, twisting. Looking at Doflamingo with scorching eyes. Doflamingo was so stared at by Lei Luo that his heart was on edge. Just looking at Lei Luo, he felt that he had bumped into a mountain. No, it should be a mountain hitting him head on. This guy's eyes and aura reveal a strong aggressiveness. Advertisement. Conqueror's Haki. No, not like. No aura resonance, no Haki embodiment, it's not Conqueror's Haki, it's pure aura. In other words, space for the strong. Doflamingo, who was carrying Conqueror's Haki, saw through the essence of Lei Luo's aura at a glance, but his heart was beating more and more. The aura alone can distort the air, so how strong is this guy? Lei Luo glared, his eyes filled with evil spirits, and he was not angry but arrogant, and the pure aura of a strong man crushed towards Doflamingo. Diamante, BABY5, Onisar and the others felt their heart beating, their breathing was short of breath, and they gradually couldn't breathe. Thump. Baby 5, who was dressed in a maid outfit, was the first to kneel down. She pressed her hands on her chest, panting with great effort, and cold sweat continued to seep from her forehead. Onisar, Diamante and others also knelt down one after another. Get up. Don't kneel. Doflamingo saw that all his subordinates were kneeling on the ground without any future, and his face was a little helpless, and he roared loudly, but no matter how he shouted or scolded, none of his subordinates could stand up again. In fact, Doflamingo himself was a bit overwhelmed. Under Lei Luo's domineering aura, he felt somewhat guilty. If he can maintain the momentum from the beginning, there is still hope to compete against Lei Luo with his innate Conqueror's Haki, but Conqueror's Haki is the power of a king. How can a king be a coward? Without a strong heart, even if you were born with Conqueror's Haki, you can't control this power, because you don't deserve it. Brother Ming felt guilty, and his Conqueror's Haki immediately became disordered and uncontrollable. Under the suppression of Lei Luo's tyrannical aura, he retreated steadily, and collapsed completely in just a few breaths. Puff. Doflamingo spurted a mouthful of reverse blood. He possessed Conqueror's Haki but lost to a person without Conqueror's Haki in the aura confrontation. He was undoubtedly backlashed by his own strength, or in other words, the backlash of his own destiny. Advertisement. With a thought, Lei Luo calmed down his aura. The previous conditions still count. One day, get out of Dressrosa. Everyone in the Don Quixote family, including Doflamingo, breathed a sigh of relief, and the strong sense of survival after the catastrophe swept through the whole body uncontrollably. Master, Baby 5, who has always been too kind and worships Doflamingo, is the first to rush to Doflamingo's side and try to help him up, but what he gets in return is Brother Ming's cold stare. Get out of the way. Doflamingo, who pushed Baby 5 away, stood up again, with a look of unyieldingness in his eyes. If there is any good point in this person, then only this unyielding is left. Looking at Lei Luo again, the gaze under the Doflamingo sunglasses was a little faint, and he didn't even dare to fall on this person. The pure aura overwhelmed Conqueror's Haki. Doflamingo is unbelievable even though he has just experienced it himself. How could the acquired aura be stronger than the innate conquerors? However, no matter how strong the aura is, it is only an aura after all, and the real battle is pure strength. Doflamingo is worthy of being a generation of pirates. He quickly came out of self-doubt, and looked at Lei Luo with fighting spirit again. I eat what's in my mouth, don't want me to spit it out again. Doflamingo slammed his palm on the ground, and a burst of tyrannical coercion quickly spread around himself, and the ground, ships, and cargo containers on the coastal docks turned into thin white lines at a speed visible to the naked eye. You are amazing to be able to fight Aokiji for 2 days. But when it comes to the development of Devil Fruit, I am far ahead of Aokiji. String Fruit, Awakening Mode. Chapter 32. How do you resist this punch? Ask for flower evaluation. Advertisement. Looking at the overwhelming white lines on the pier, Lei Luo's mouth curled into a cold arc. Has Devil Fruit's ability awakened? It's actually 2 years earlier than the awakening of the fruit ability in the original book. Interesting. It is said that once the ability of Devil Fruit is awakened, the strength of the awakener will undergo a qualitative change. This is the first time he has encountered an ability user who has awakened Devil Fruit's ability since he came to this world. A godsend. Taking a deep breath, the jet black armament haki covered the whole body, as if wearing a layer of jet black close-fitting armor, and the blackening of the armament on the right arm was particularly deep. Lei Luo hooked Doflamingo. Come and play. Seeing this scene, Doflamingo could only feel the anger in his heart bursting out. This damn guy, just wait, soon you will experience the horror of Devil Fruit's awakening. The white line spread under Doflamingo's feet and quickly approached Lei Luo. All the cadres of the Don Quixote family, who were hit hard by the suppression of Lei Luo's breath before, all had a look of victory on their faces. Sure enough, the young master is even better. A mere pariah, how could it be possible to challenge the young master? The young master is a heavenly dragon noble, the most noble blood in the world. Look at this overwhelming white line. Devil Fruit is awakened, the young master will win. Doflamingo had already seen how powerful Lei Luo was, so he didn't make a rash move. Armament Haki surged out from all over his body, thinking that he was the center, and the white lines within 1 meter of Fang Yuan quickly turned black, completing the blackening of the armament. Looking fiercely at Lei Luo, Brother Ming waved his hand, and tens of thousands of transparent white thin lines were arranged horizontally like obedient pets. With Brother Ming's push, the white lines instantly turned into a rolling wave of offensive, surge from bottom to top, straight to Lei Luo. Desolate white line black line kill. Almost at the same time as the voice fell, the thin line at the front of the white line wave turned black instantly, pushed by the follow-up white line, and rushed to Lei Luo in the blink of an eye. Wasteland white line. Lei Luo recognized Doflamingo's move at a glance. In the original pirate book, this move is used to deal with Luffy, with a violent impact. Even if the target can resist the impact, it will be destroyed by thousands of white lines haunted and hanged. The power is very impressive. The top of the white line is the black line blessed by the armed color. Advertisement. It seems that this guy also took great pains to deal with me. The next moment, Lei Luo made a movement that no one could understand. He raised his arms to the sky, and opened his chest to welcome the arrival of the barren white line. Doflamingo's heart was beating violently, and his eyes were filled with fierce light. The guy the first think is right, go to hell. The cadres of the Don Quixote family also had mockery on their faces. According to their experience, this kind of self-righteous and arrogant guy died the fastest. Especially Diamante, the square cadre. He has followed Doflamingo since the establishment of the Don Quixote family. He is a veteran figure. There are countless people. He seemed to have seen the tragic death scene of Lei Luo being pierced by the young master with a black thread. However, in the next moment, clang. The extremely ear-piercing sound of metal and iron clashing sounded, and everyone was stunned, either in astonishment, in bewilderment, or in disbelief. All expressions froze on their faces. Doflamingo's eyes bulged out fiercely, as if they were about to squeeze out of the sunglasses. Prevent it. This is the power of Devil Fruit's awakening level, and under the blessing of Armament Haki, the power increases exponentially. This guy actually stopped him without moving. What kind of international joke are you making? Doflamingo quickly came to his senses, clasped his palms together, the black and white threads were entangled, and in the blink of an eye, Lei Luo was entangled into a huge rice dumpling. Strangle. As soon as Doflamingo clenched his fist, the big rice dumpling with white lines tightened suddenly. The Don Quixote family cadres behind him were all relieved. You ignorant man, this is what will happen to you against the young master. The cadres headed by Diamante immediately cheered. Doflamingo also heaved a sigh of relief. He knew best the moves he performed himself, the instantly tightened thin thread, the pressure reached tens of thousands of tons, enough to strangle a life into pieces, even the bones would be crushed. Boom. Advertisement. Boom. Boom. But at this time, bursts of thunderous voices continued to ring in everyone's ears, and Doflamingo, who hadn't breathed a sigh of relief, instantly became vigilant. Thunder. No, it's more like a heartbeat. And the source of the sound. Brother Ming's eyes suddenly fell on the huge white rice dumpling, and the sound came from there. Boom. Almost at the same time, a thunderous sound exploded into the sky, and the layers of the white-lined rice dumplings were broken and shattered. An extremely overbearing and powerful air wave was released from the crushed white-lined rice dumplings, as if 1,000 caddies of explosives had exploded at the same time. The surrounding seawater all were shaken to agitation and boiling. The tyrannical air wave swept towards the members of the Don Quixote family with an extremely fast momentum. As if they were hit by a heavy hammer, they spurted a mouthful of blood in unison. A dozen of Don Quixote family cadres headed by Diamante lost their lives in an instant. Combat power. The air wave continued to spread until it hit the thick city wall, causing the city wall to shake violently for a while before it was over. Lei Luo. Seeing the wounded and fallen family members one by one, Doflamingo roared like a wounded beast. The air wave just now came too fast and too sudden, and he only had time to deploy the wire shield to protect himself. The cherished family members all fell down without exception. Lei Luo was still standing on top of Tigerhead Sea Kings, a look of disappointment flashed in his eyes. After all, expectations are too high. A low-end devil fruit-like string fruit can only reach this level even if it is developed to the awakening level. Forget it. That's the end of the pastime game. Lei Luo clenched his right fist, as if he had changed in an instant, the earth-shattering powerful aura spread out suddenly. How do you resist this punch? Goo. Doflamingo swallowed his saliva unconsciously, drips of cold sweat slipped down the tip of his nose. This punch might destroy the world. Book Reading Fun Chapter 33. A punch that destroys heaven and earth. Ask for flower evaluation. Advertisement. Lei Luo's aura was earth-shattering. Before he punched, the air around him was buzzing and twisting. Doflamingo's eyes were horrified, and he could feel that he had been locked by Lei Luo's aura. This feeling was very strange, as if this punch could not be dodged. Even if he dodged, the power of the fist would chase him to the Cape of Tianya. White line shield. Countless white lines gathered together to form a barrier in front of Doflamingo. Armament Haki output violently, and the white line shield instantly completed blackening arming. If you can't dodge, then you can only resist. Doflamingo's eyes flashed with a lifelike determination. In the blink of an eye, Lei Luo waved a punch lightly, yes, lightly, without any sound, not even the sound of a breaking wind, and the surrounding was quiet, like the calm before the storm. Boom. The next moment, the air in front of Lei Luo exploded with a loud noise, the air vibrated, and for just a moment, the air flow was as terrifying as a 10th level gale. The place where it passed was dusty, and a deep gully formed on the ground. Thousands of white lines were instantly shattered into dust, and the entire coastal pier was in a mess. Doflamingo has just completed the armed blackening of the white line shield, and before he had time to breathe a sigh of relief, he felt that he was bumping into a big mountain head-on. The shield is about to split. He kept outputting Armament Haki, gathering thousands of thin white lines, but this unrivaled impact kept pushing his figure back. Advertisement. Damn, how is this possible? Just one punch has such terrifying power. Is this guy's physique more terrifying than Kaido of the Beasts? Puff. Even though Doflamingo tried his best, he still could barely support it for 2 seconds. He vomited out a mouthful of blood uncontrollably. Doflamingo lifted himself from the ground and flew upside down, hitting the ground like a kite with a broken string. Without the Doflamingo in the front, the cadres of the Don Quixote family at the back immediately lost their last protective umbrella. Onisir, who was wearing a large baby suit, had no time to use his devil fruit ability to sneak into the ground, and was directly blown away. His obese body was like a broken sack same, hit the thick city wall directly. Boom. With a muffled sound, Onisir only felt bursts of severe pain continuously coming from all parts of his body. Muscles, meridians, and bones were all broken, and his internal organs were afraid of being shattered. He exhausted his last strength and looked at the hospital in the distance. Lucian. In this life, I may really follow the wrong person. Baby 5 stretches her arms and turns them into explosion-proof shields. She is a weapon fruit-capable person, and she can transform into a variety of cold and hot weapons all over her body, but this tyrannical punch can't even support Doflamingo's white line shield. What's the use of her transfigured explosion-proof shield if she lives for a while? In the blink of an eye, the explosion-proof shield shattered, and she followed in Onisir's footsteps. Diamante, the most powerful flying fruit cube cadre, was also blown away by a strong air wave and hit the city wall. His flying fruit can soften all objects, and his clothes are made of steel. It is made by compressing the fruit's ability, and has a very strong defense force. However, at this moment, the clothes made of steel became his burden instead. The tyrannical impact of the air waves and the strong reverse thrust of hitting the city wall, 2 opposite forces acted on him, and the clothes made of steel all over his body suddenly became mortgage. Diamante's coffin, viscera, meridians and bones were all crushed to pieces by the front and back attacking steel clothes. Buffalo, who has the ability to spin fruit, turned into a propeller, but the strong air wave directly blown him away, and his huge body fell into the sea uncontrollably. Advertisement. The wind pressure gradually subsided, and the coastal pier was in a mess. Not even a piece of good land could be found, and there were still fish swimming on the shore, whose stomachs had turned white. This punch, Lei Luo controlled very skillfully. The coastal pier was turned upside down by the air waves, but everything came to a sudden stop in front of the thick and tall city wall. Little Lord. Suddenly a shrill sound resounded in the city, the ground trembled, and a thick and huge stone arm protruded directly from the soil. The palm of the hand was opened, as if a big net covering the sky and the sun had been spread out, and it directly threw the flying upside down. Doflamingo is grasped like a hand. Immediately afterwards, another stone arm stretched out from the ground, and a stone man as tall as a tower climbed out. The sudden change caused the civilians in the city to flee in all directions. Lei Luo recognized this huge stone man at a glance, the spade cadre under Doflamingo, the stone fruit ability user, and the giant stone Pica. This guy's unique high-pitched voice is very recognizable. Lei Luo. The young master is an incomparably noble heavenly dragon nobleman, the king of this Dressrosa, and one of the 7 warlords of the sea entrusted by the world government. He came to Dressrosa to make trouble. Do you think that the Whitebeard pirate can the regiment fight against the world government? Pica put a big hat on straight down, and then said, the world government has more than 170 franchise countries. If you dare to touch the young master, you are making an enemy of the whole world. Lei Luo laughed out loud. The 3 major characteristics of Dressrosa: toys, goblins, little people, and Pica's sissy. No way. The most threatening words in the most sissy tone. Whoever listens can't help but want to laugh. Lei Luo didn't want to talk nonsense with this big sissy, so he punched brazenly. Noisy. Book Reading Fun Chapter 34. 16 Sacred Bullets God Kills. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. Boom. The punches are like lightning, and the punches are like thunder. With a bang, the tyrannical air wave seemed to turn into an invisible shell, and flew out from the coastal pier extremely quickly. Bang. The air wave pierced through the boulder Pica's chest in an instant. Gravel, bricks and tiles fell from the sky, and the surrounding buildings were destroyed. Jushi Pica's face is full of disbelief. How is this possible? How could the air wave created by one punch travel so far? The most terrible thing is that after hitting such a long distance, it can still maintain such terrifying power. The body of the boulder was easily broken. If it was a body of flesh and blood, no one would be able to withstand such a terrifying punch. Is this really possible with Armament Haki alone? After the full shock, Jushi Pica felt a wave of doubts in his heart. He is also a master of Armament Haki, and he has reached the level of full body coverage that is stronger than most people. Armament Haki is also covered all over the body. How can this Lei Luo be so strong? While he was wondering, Doflamingo, who was lying in the palm of Pica, woke up, and kept injecting invisible silk threads into his body to repair his internal organs, and then jumped to the tall tower building aside. The string fruit awakening ability it unfolded again, and the tower under the feet became thousands of white silk threads visible to the naked eye. The eyes under the sunglasses flashed a vicious look. Pica, buy me some time. Understood. Pica agreed in a high-pitched voice. The huge stone man dived into the ground in an instant, and went straight to the coastal pier. Lei Luo stood on top of the tiger-headed sea kings from the beginning to the end. When he saw the huge stone statue in the city suddenly disappear, he suddenly remembered that although Pica's stone fruit is not a Logia devil fruit, it can be used in battle. Lose the power of Logia devil fruit. As long as he sneaks into the ground, walls and other earth and stone materials, it will be difficult to find his body. The ground not far away suddenly shook, and a huge black rock arm hit Lei Luo at a very fast speed. Although Pica is a big guy with well-developed limbs, but his mind is very delicate. He knows that Lei Luo's fist must not be touched head-on, otherwise the body will be smashed to pieces. Diamante is the best shot on the wall. Proof. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth curled into a playful arc, thinking that it would be fine if he hid his real body underground. Advertisement. Innocent. Seeing the huge black fist coming towards him, Lei Luo retracted his arms, stored his strength, and punched. Emission. A domineering punch was thrown out, but there was no sound. The powerful but pervasive punch penetrated into the boulder's fist in the blink of an eye, and in the next moment, boom. The fist of the boulder was broken and shattered one after another, and a strong energy burst out. The boulder Pica hiding in the ground widened his eyes in disbelief, and there was a trace of blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, which was completely lost in an instant. Mobility. Impossible. How did he hit me? What's going on with this strange force? Emission Haki can inject its own strength into the body of the designated target, causing destruction from the inside out. Doflamingo in the distance was also taken aback. Looking at the ground that suddenly calmed down, he knew that Pica was defeated. It was just a punch, and Pica fell down. Impossible. Pica has been very cautious, hiding her real body underground, but she was still attacked. This Lei Luo, what a weird attack method. But fortunately, Pica bought him enough time, and the power storage has been completed. Lei Luo. In the distance, Doflamingo's roar came, mixed with coldness and fury. Anger soared. The overlord aura of the red-black emerged again. Doflamingo raised his hands to the sky, and 16 huge white lines floated behind him. No, to be precise, it is a giant spear with white threads condensed from countless thin white threads. The sharp tip is all pitch black, and all the Armament Haki all over his body are condensed on it. From a distance, Doflamingo looks like a giant spider with one leg. 16 holy bullets, God slay. Shish. 16 giant spears with pitch black tops and white lines stabbed towards Lei Luo quickly like lightning, bringing bursts of rapid wind-breaking sounds. Under the traction of chi, the ultimate conqueror's Haki also crushed towards Lei Luo at the same time. God slaying is a blow that is enough to judge a god. Doflamingo's strongest blow, even if he can't kill Lei Luo, only severely wounding him is enough to end the battle. Advertisement. There was such a big commotion outside, the Don Quixote family think tank Torpol who was hiding in the dark must have known about it, and with his brain, he would definitely contact Marine as soon as possible. Of course Marine will side with 7 warlords of the sea, and Lei Luo's head is worth $1 billion Baileys. Marine is bound to dispatch the strongest admiral-level combat power for this purpose, so as long as he injures and holds Lei Luo down, Lei Luo will die. If you come to his territory to make trouble, don't even think about leaving unharmed. Go to hell Lei Luo. Lei Luo spread out the palm of his right hand, Armament Haki surged all over his body, and condensed on the palm of his right hand, the muscles of the entire right arm tightened instantly, becoming extremely hard. Seeing this scene, Doflamingo suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. This scene seemed familiar. Clang. Sure enough, in the next second, the extremely ear-piercing sound of metal and iron clashing resounded throughout Dressrosa, and the violent sonic boom made the surrounding seawater boil, and the coastal pier that had been turned into ruins unexpectedly second collapse. But, Lei Luo still stood firmly on top of Tigerhead Sea Kings, his lone figure was as motionless as a mountain, and he never even shook his arms. This is impossible. Doflamingo's eyes in the distance were shocked, and a strong sense of inconceivableness swept through his body. The strongest blow I launched with all my strength failed to shake this guy at all. Die to me. Doflamingo roared unwillingly. Even though he saw it with his own eyes, he still couldn't believe the absurd scene in front of him. The more relaxed Lei Luo acted, the more he felt that he was useless and a mess. Armament Haki. Conqueror's Haki surged crazily, Devil Fruit's ability output crazily, more and more white lines gathered together, bringing up an extremely powerful thrust to knock Lei Luo out, but Lei Luo remained motionless. Even, the tiger-headed sea kings under his feet has already begun to doze off. A hint of impatience flashed in Lei Luo's eyes, claiming to kill the god of Zushin, but that's all. Grabbing the tip of the huge line spear, Lei Luo exerted all his strength, and Doflamingo in the distance was suddenly pulled and staggered. Get over here. Chapter 35. Lei Luo's Killing Heart. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. Doflamingo, who had no power to resist, was dragged over in a daze, and the pitch-black fist quickly magnified in his eyes. But Doflamingo, who has just released the armed color, Conqueror's two-color Haki, and the ability of string fruit is almost exhausted, can only wrap the vitals with the last Armament Haki. Bang! A tyrannical punch directly hit Doflamingo's cheekbone, and his whole body was smashed into the ground, his head buzzing, the sunglasses on the bridge of his nose were smashed into pieces, the glass cut through his eye sockets, and his 7 orifices were full of blood. It's too powerful. How could it be so powerful? It's just a mere armed look. I've never heard of someone's Armament Haki being so powerful. Doflamingo fell to the ground dying, struggling desperately. He wanted to get up, but his body didn't listen to him at all. Young master. Young master. A voice suddenly sounded. Lei Luo and Doflamingo were taken aback at the same time. Looking up, there was an old man with a dry body and a snot all over his body standing not far away. Torre Pole. Lei Luo recognized this guy at a glance. This slimy fruit-capable user is so recognizable. And Torrepal was also stunned on the spot. He was originally here to report the encounter of a strong enemy in the underground factory. Looking at Doflamingo, who was suppressed on the ground, and then at Lei Luo, his eyes trembled fiercely, and his whole body was like he was fixed on the spot as if struck by lightning. How come? The young master was defeated. How is this possible? The young master is a nobleman of the heavenly dragon, the chosen one. How could he lose to a mere pariah? Torrebel trembled violently, and the scene in front of him completely overturned his world view, as if the mountain he had always believed in collapsed. B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Doflamingo's eyes flashed panic when he saw Torpal appearing here. Sugar is the most important cadre of the Don Quixote family and their foundation in Dressrosa. Doflamingo soon calmed down again. Torpal was the brains of the Don Quixote family. Before he came here, he must have hidden the sugar. Lei Luo frowned. This slug appeared here. Did Rudolph fail? Advertisement. Raising his hand and hitting with energy, he directly sent Torbo flying, and Lei Luo stomped on Doflamingo's chest. My things are not so easy to hold. Ahem. Doflamingo coughed violently, as if he was about to cough out his lungs. Even if he injected string fruit thin threads into his body, it would not be able to repair the injury. Completely lost the ability to resist, Doflamingo is determined in his heart. How can he not have a bit of strong psychological quality to be able to make a living in this sea? He smiled wildly and strangely. A mere pariah, dare to kill a dragon. Lei Luo, do you know what a stupid thing you did? Do you know how much I donate to the world government every year, and how much I donate to the celestial dragons every year? Cough. Doflamingo's eyes were filled with madness, the expression on his face was distorted, and he changed the topic abruptly. No, there is no need for celestial dragons to attack at all. I am not afraid to tell you, do you know the 3 disasters under Kaido of the beasts? My supply to Kaido has always been picked up by Jack the Dro, and he's on his way to Dressrosa at the moment, and if he can't get it, blah 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 the culprit, can you imagine what will happen to you? Blue, blue, blue. At this moment, the phone bug in Lei Luo's pocket suddenly rang out and connected. Hey boss. The voice of the ghost Jin came from the phone bug. Explain. The artificial devil fruit factory has been taken. Listening to the indistinct voice from the phone bug, Doflamingo's face turned ashen, as if he had been slapped instantly. Damn it, how does this guy know about man-made devil fruit? Is this guy's intention to drag him off the coast so others can raid the man-made devil fruit factory? Scumbag. The ever-insidious Doflamingo cursed for the first time in his life. Advertisement. He has always been the only one who can shade people, no one can beat him. Do you think you can beat me like this? Don't be naive. Without the recognition of the world government, even if you sit on the throne, you can't be king. The people of this country will only remember that a pirate named Lei Luo defeated them. The king of your country has taken this country by force, and everyone living in this country will curse you, the vicious pirate, to die quickly. Before the words were finished, a figure suddenly appeared beside Lei Luo, appearing out of nowhere, as if it came out of the blue, but also as if it had been there all the time. It was a man nearly 2 meters tall, with long hair messily draped over his shoulders, stubble all over his face, wearing a black tights, his eyes covered by a black cloth covered with grids. And in this man's hand is also carrying a girl who looks about 10 years old. She is wearing a blue floral dress, her hands are covered by 2 furry bear claw gloves, and her mouth is sealed with adhesive tape. She is the oldest girl of the Don Quixote family. An important cadre, the childish fruit ability user Granu Tang. Granu kept struggling, and looked at Doflamingo as if asking for help, but found that her young master was also in danger now. Seeing the appearance of these 2 people, Doflamingo, who was still clamoring for a second, suddenly became quiet, all words stuck in his throat, as uncomfortable as eating a fly. Boss, I'm lucky. The blindfolded man smiled at Lei Luo. He is a fighter under Lei Luo, one of the 2 ghosts who knocked on the door of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Paramesh's ability to imprison fruit, ghost-eyed Rudolph, was killed by him. All demon fruit powers will be temporarily unable to use their abilities. It's perfect to deal with Granu, a childish fruit-capable person who can turn people into toys as soon as he touches them. Seeing the lifeblood of Granos being held in Lei Luo's hands, the veins on Doflamingo's forehead trembled, but he could only swallow this sullen breath. Lei Luo. Deputy Captain Lei Luo. I was wrong. I will compensate all the losses of your Chamber of Commerce, and return all the roots to you, and I will give Dressrosa 10 years of taxes as compensation. I can also apply to the world government to allow you to become 7 warlords of the sea. Please don't embarrass Granu. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth curled up into a sneer. Killing people will kill them. Brother Ming, the image public relations you have done in Dressrosa these years have been very successful. Whenever the citizens of Dressrosa mention you, they always proudly say that Their Majesty the King is offering a reward of 340 million won Bailei's great pirate, 7 warlords of the sea. But you said, if they remember those relatives who were turned into toys, can you keep the image of a good king you have worked so hard to maintain for many years? If you are deprived of the title of 7 warlords of the sea, based on your reputation in Reese for what Rosa did, the bounty should be multiplied several times, right? Lei Luo gave Rudolph a look, and the latter understood immediately, and when he exerted force on his arm, click, the struggling Granif suddenly passed out. Doflamingo was angry for a while, and his face suddenly turned pale. Once the childish fruit ability user is in a coma or death state, the fruit ability will be invalidated instantly. It's over for him at Dressrosa. Chapter 36. Overturning Dressrosa, a new mission. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. As the childlike fruit ability user Granos fainted, the toys of Dressrosa seemed to have received a signal. Each toy glowed with a layer of light, and there were constantly luminescent dust-like substances separated from the bodies of the toys, gathered together, and became extraordinarily dazzling. Suddenly, the luminous dust in midair exploded, sprinkled all over Dressrosa, and poured into the minds of human beings. The childlike fruit ability will make people who have been turned into toys be forgotten by others. These are all sealed memories. For a time, the missing fragments in people's minds became extremely clear. The lights on the toys also turned on ultimate, and they all stood up and regained their human forms in a dazzling light. In the most famous high-roller hotel in Dressrosa, the robot wearing a chef's hat suddenly turned into a man over 2 meters tall. The handyman who was cutting potatoes was startled, Chef Skargerman. In a residential building on the street, a woman with a child stared blankly at the human being transformed from a toy dog in front of her. The memories that suddenly flooded into her mind made her feel a little uncomfortable. Honey, you have transformed back, but I have remarried. Near the Colosseum, Cyrus, who was formerly the chief guard of Dressrosa's palace and had a broken leg, embraced Rebecca, who had forgotten him for more than 10 years. Father. Rebecca, my daughter. The same scenes are constantly unfolding in the streets and alleys of Dressrosa. Everyone has recovered their lost memories and suddenly realized that their tragedy was created by a generation of virtuous kings in their eyes, Don Quixote Doflamingo. For a while, the air of Dressrosa resounded with the voice of condemning Doflamingo. Lei Luo threw Doflamingo to Rudolph and said, 7 warlords of the sea are equipped with seastone handcuffs issued by the world government, go put them on and hang them at the gate of the palace. A smirk curled up on the corner of Rudolph's mouth. Understood. This kind of thing, he is best at. After we're done, go find 3 people. The former king of Dressrosa, Liku Dold III, the former chief of the palace guard, Cyrus, and the gladiator Rebecca. In addition, print some propaganda papers. Do you know what to print? The word, understand, was written in Rudolph's eyes. Understood, hold the high and step down. It's an old skill. He was originally a member of the intelligence department of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Before being promoted by Lei Luo, he ran a small magazine specializing in lace news. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is an alternative talent in an unpopular field. Advertisement. Lei Luo gave Rudolph a kick. Not heavy. Get out and do something. Yes. After ordering Rudolph, Lei Luo opened the system interface with a single thought. Congratulations to host for completing the task, defeating the Don Quixote family led by Doflamingo, and getting bonus attribute points plus 20. After all 20 attribute points are used up, the progress bar in the Armament Haki level column on the system interface rises for a while, and 205 hundredths becomes 225 hundredths. As soon as Lei Luo made a fist, the strength of Armament Haki improved a bit, and at the same time, it became smoother to use. It covers when you make a fist, and dissipates when you open your hand. It can already be described as, come and go when you call it. At the same time, Lei Luo's own energy state also instantly recovered, and the energy consumed in the battle just now was replenished in an instant. This feeling is very comfortable, just like a game upgrade, the level is improved, no matter the blood bar or the blue bar, the peak state is instantly restored. Doflamingo, who was being dragged away by Rudolph, had a strange look in his eyes. He always felt that the aura on Lei Luo's body had become faintly stronger. Although the intensity was weak, it was real. I couldn't help being a little startled, knowing that even if you eat devil fruit, you have to improve your strength little by little, especially for those who specialize in armament hockey like Lei Luo. But this guy completely broke his perception of strength improvement, as if he was getting stronger every minute. Monster. Doflamingo murmured. A flash of light flashed in Rudolph's eyes. Although he was no longer surprised, he was still a little shocked. As expected of the boss of Lei Luo, this aura has become stronger again. Lei Luo was satisfied for a while, and when he was about to shut down the system, a new task prompt popped up in the task bar. The king is not afraid of powerful enemies, and defeated Jack the Drow who came to Dressrosa to collect man-made devil fruit. Mission reward. Attribute points plus 30. It seems that what Doflamingo said earlier is true, Jack the Drow is indeed on his way. However, 30 attribute points. It can be improved again. Advertisement. If I remember correctly, Jack the Drow should be the ancient mammoth form of Zone elephant fruit. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth curled up in a smile of joy. It is said that Zone ancient species is more resistant to beating than ordinary Zone demon fruit power. Looking at the tall tower building in the southwest in the distance, he stomped his feet, and the whole person bounced up like a cannonball, and stopped in front of the tower building. Soldiers in Dressrosa uniforms were scattered here and there, with broken legs, arms, or necks, all lying on the ground dying. Lei Luo strode in the door, and there were two overly plump middle-aged women lying on the spacious factory-like grounds. Their identities could be vaguely recognized by their unrecognizable faces. Jorah and Prisoner are both cadres of the Don Quixote family. Boss. Not far away came a figure nearly 2 meters tall, exuding a bloodthirsty aura all over his body, with a hammer hanging around his waist, wearing jeans, a denim vest, and a headband, with a fine figure. Thin, dark circled eyes are easy to impress. Ghost Man Ah Jin, the pirate Admiral Creek who played for East Blue in the original pirate novel, is a cold-blooded tough guy with a good foundation and strong strength, but unfortunately he followed the wrong master. When Lei Luo saw him in East Blue, he took him under his command and bestowed the Phantom Beast Evil Ghost Fruit. Now he has grown into one of the double ghosts of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. He is also the head of the War Department. Even the red-haired Shanks once full of praise for his ruthless methods. It took you so long to deal with these two things. Lei Luo looked at Ah Jin. Ah Jin's body trembled, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. If he was an evil ghost, then the boss Lei Luo in front of him was the king of ghosts. I'm sorry, boss, I was wrong. I knocked out these two fat women as soon as I came in, but the little people here took my troubles. They said that I killed these two people. Man Shueli of their little people, the princess will be killed. She has been working hard with me, it took more time. What about the little people? Lei Luo asked. These little guys who are naturally fast and powerful are the most important thing in making artificial devil fruit. Ah Jin said honestly. Don't worry, I have always remembered your teachings, restrained my murderous intentions, I didn't kill any of them, and put them all in a bottle. Chapter 37. Take control of the artificial devil fruit factory. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Ah Jin took out a pitch-black glass bottle covered with Armament Haki. These guys are born with supernatural powers, and ordinary things really can't be closed. Lei Luo took the bottle and threw it on the ground. Ah Jin wanted to stop him, but the bottle was shattered. For a moment, countless black shadows emerged from the broken bottle, as if a honeycomb had been poked, and a large area was densely drilled out. Semicolon. Each of them is only the size of a newborn mouse. They call themselves the Dongtata clan, and the outside world calls them the Little People, or the Fairy clan of Dressrosa. The villains all stared at Lei Luo bitterly, as if Lei Luo had killed their own father. A black shadow rushed towards Lei Luo like a bullet. If the factory shuts down, Princess Manshueli will die. Lei Luo flicked his hand like a fly, and the black shadow flew out in an instant, hitting the wall, and a deep hole was knocked out of the solid wall, and the black shadow came back to life in just a few short breaths standing up. It is not difficult to see that they have extremely strong physiques. If it is thrown into a white paper flower and cultivated into a killer, it will be extremely valuable. Seeing that his companion was shot flying, and the remaining hundreds of small humans were about to swarm up, Lei Luo stomped his feet and released his domineering aura instantly. Hundreds of little human warriors were instantly suppressed and crawled on the ground, unable to move at all. Conquerors, this guy has the same power as His Majesty the King. No, not conquerors, just pure aura. It's such a strong aura, it's even scarier than the ghost-like person beside him, it's just a simple aura, how could it be so strong? Lei Luo put away his aura, but none of the little humans present dared to make mistakes, and then said coldly, 2 things. First, continue your unfinished work, and the security work of this factory is also entrusted to you or in charge, no one is allowed in except me and Ah Jin. Advertisement. Second, your Princess Manshueli is not sick, nor will she die. Do your job well, and I will send her to you. Listening to Lei Luo's words, the faces of the little people who had suffered and hated each other in the last second instantly changed, and they all looked at Lei Luo with grateful eyes. Thank you so much for this message. Is Princess Manshueli really all right? From now on, you will be a friend of the Dongtata clan. The ghost Ah Jin looked at Lei Luo in disbelief. The boss was the boss, he worked hard for a long time to subdue the little people forcibly, the boss can get it done with just a few words. After dismissing the little humans to continue producing artificial devil fruit, Lei Luo looked at Ah Jin. Go find a woman named Violet and bring her to the palace to meet me. Yes, if I remember correctly, Princess Manshueli of the Lilliputian clan was locked in the palace of Dressrosa, and in the palace of Nuoda, only Violet, a sharp-eyed person who ate the fruit of staring, could find her as quickly as possible. After giving the order to Ajin, the phone bug also called, Blue, Brew, Brew, and connected, and Rudolph's hoarse voice came from the opposite side. Boss, the 3 people you are looking for have been found, they seem to be Dressrosa's original royal family. In addition, Doflamingo and the little girl who can turn into a toy are already hanging at the gate of the palace. A large number of civilians have gathered at the gate of the palace, and they are all throwing stones at them. I'm already printing a brochure, and it will be done in an hour. Lei Luo was satisfied for a while. His white paper flower chamber of commerce already implemented semi-military management, and the execution rate of his subordinates was naturally extremely high. Very good. When I go back, I will go to Karina to receive a bonus of 100 million berries. Advertisement. Thank you, boss. After leaving the man-made devil fruit factory, Lei Luo jumped up and landed steadily in front of the palace gate. A large number of civilians gathered here. Both Doflamingo and Granu were handcuffed with seastone handcuffs and hung in front of the palace gate to endure the satisfaction of the civilians. Stones of anger and condemnation. The dying Doflamingo looked at Lei Luo sternly. 8 years of foundation, you ruined it in less than 10 minutes. Lei Luo, are you very proud? You won't be proud for long. Once Jack the Drow comes, you will definitely die. Jack the Drow. Well, I hope he is as resistant to beatings as the rumors say. After saying this, Lei Luo turned and entered the palace. Doflamingo gritted his teeth for a while, and then smiled distortedly and madly. You just seized this little time to be proud, and soon you will be worse than me. The main hall of the Dressrosa Palace was originally the place where the cadres of the Don Quixote family discussed their affairs. In the spacious hall, Rebecca, the former princess of subjugation and reduced to a gladiator in the arena, stood beside her father, Cyrus, and on their side, stood the king of this country 8 years ago, King Liku. In the past, King Liku was the supreme ruler in this hall, but now standing in the familiar hall, he feels a little faint in his heart. He more or less heard rumors outside that a stronger pirate defeated Doflamingo and broke the curse of Dressrosa. But most of the pirates came from the same route, they went to tigers and came to hungry wolves. Moreover, this new hungry wolf came directly to them, and they didn't know what kind of fate was waiting for their family. Chapter 38. Lord of Dressrosa. Please subscribe. Advertisement. At this time, there was a sound of pattering footsteps outside the main hall, dull and fast. The family of three raised their eyes and couldn't help but be taken aback. What came into view was a young figure more than 2 meters high, just walking head-on gave a strong sense of oppression, like a mountain with no visible top bumping into it head-on. As the former king of a country, King Liku could faintly feel that this person had restrained his own aura, but still had an incomparably domineering aura faintly revealed. People tremble with fear. Wearing a neat suit, the white paper flower on the chest made the family of three think of the person who made the world famous a few days ago, Whitebeard Pirates Vice President, white paper flower Lei Luo. Was he the one who defeated Doflamingo? A family reunion. Lei Luo laughed. The family of three were stunned for a moment, and the elderly King Liku first said, thank you, Your Excellency Lei Luo. Facing that mountain-like aura, the former king of a country, the big man who controlled a country, couldn't even speak clearly. Lei Luo went straight to the throne symbolizing Wang Quan and sat down. This throne seemed to be made for him. Just sitting on it gave off a majestic and imperial aura that overwhelmed the three people below. Breathless, as if he is the real master of this country. Cyrus at the bottom clenched his fists faintly. As the former head of the palace guard and the son-in-law of Dressrosa, he couldn't tolerate someone else sitting on the throne after all. Lei Luo looked at Cyrus with a sneer. Put away your impotent rage, Cyrus. Cyrus with a broken leg looked astonished, as if his tail had been stepped on, but he had to admit that Lei Luo was right. If he had a bit of ability, how could someone snatch Wang Quan and be turned into a broken leg again? Leg soldiers' toys for 8 years. Do you still want to take this position again? Lei Luo looked at King Liku. The family of three was taken aback again. What does this mean? Lei Luo went on to say, this country was originally under the control of your Liku family. Doflamingo is gone. It is reasonable for your family to re-elect the throne. King Liku's complexion changed for a while. The former king of a country and a figure who planned strategies, faced Lei Luo, he couldn't see through the other party's thoughts at all. But you have to remember that from now on, this Dressrosa has no king, only a regent. Lei Luo changed the topic, and said in a flat tone, the more flat it is, the more people feel a kind of contemptuous spirit that regards all things as ants under their feet. Advertisement. The family of three immediately understood that Lei Luo was going to establish a puppet regime and let their Liku clan become the puppets of the escrow country, and the real master of this country was Lei Luo. Rebecca clenched her fist. She has already experienced what it's like to be a princess of a subjugated country. Becoming Lei Luo's puppet is different from being a princess of a subjugated country. Then you might as well kill us, our Liku clan will never. Rebecca. Before Rebecca finished speaking, King Liku scolded him. He was put on a mask and filled the arena for 8 years, and he had already tasted all the pain. Rejecting Lei Luo might end up worse than offending Doflamingo, but he doesn't care. But his granddaughter Rebecca is very young, how can he let her go back to her old life full of pain? King Liku seemed to muster up great courage. May I ask your excellency Lei Luo, under your rule, can the country be stable and peaceful, and can the people have enough food and clothing? Lei Luo asked indifferently. Is this what you should ask? There was unquestionable majesty in the indifferent tone. King Liku's body trembled, and he knelt down. I wish your excellency Lei Luo to be the lord of Dressrosa, and serve you from generation to generation. Grandpa, Rebecca shouted unwillingly. Kneel down. King Liku gave a cold voice. No matter how unwilling Rebecca was, she could only kneel down, and together with her father Cyrus, I wish your excellency Lei Luo to be the lord of Dressrosa, and serve you from generation to generation. Lei Luo smiled with satisfaction. That's right. Now, go out to stabilize the people's hearts and do what you, the regent, should do. Of course, declare to the outside world that you are still the king. Ming, understand. The family of three behaved well and left the hall. Rebecca lowered her voice and asked angrily, Grandpa, how could you agree to such a request? He obviously came to us because he couldn't control the country. He asked us for something. Without us, world government would not be able to acknowledging his Wang Quan. King Liku rubbed his granddaughter's pink hair kindly. Rebecca, you have grown a lot these years, but you have to understand that he wants to kill us in the blink of an eye. Even if the world government doesn't recognize him Wang Quan, he also has 100 ways to rule this country. The reason why he came to us was not because there was no other way, but because he chose the easiest way. Advertisement. Rebecca was discouraged for a while, but she had to admit that what Grandpa said made sense. Not long after the family walked out of the hall, the ghost Jin walked in carrying a struggling woman. Violet. Aunt Violet. Rebecca recognized the person in Argentine's hands at a glance. Aunt Violet is also the princess of Dressrosa. How could she let someone treat her so rudely? She rushed forward. The ghost man agent looked cold, and waved his hands to overthrow Rebecca to the ground. At the same time, an extremely cold aura burst out, just like the evil ghost crawling out of the depths of hell. King Liku and others instantly there was a feeling of falling into an ice cave, and my whole body trembled. Don't be scary outside, come in. Lei Luo's voice came from the hall. Only then did Jin snort coldly, put away the cold aura all over his body. King Liku's family gasped for breath, as if walking through the gates of hell. Cyrus trembled for a while. Not only was the man named Lei Luo extremely powerful, but even the people under him had such a tyrannical aura. No wonder Doflamingo lost so thoroughly. Enough to crusade against the entire Don Quixote family. Goo. Rebecca swallowed, and now she suddenly believed her grandfather's words, that person named Lei Luo has 100 ways to rule this country. Jin came to the main hall and threw the man on the floor. Boss, he was found. Lei Luo looked at Violet. Perhaps because she ate the staring fruit, this woman's gaze was as sharp as an eagle's, but hidden behind this sharp gaze was a clear lack of confidence. 2 things. Use your ability to find Princess Manchueli of the little human race in the palace. After completing this, you can restore your identity as Princess Dressrosa and reunite with your family. Ovelet lowered his head. He had just seen the strength of the subordinate, the ghost agent, and he couldn't even think of rebelling against Lei Luo, the master. Understood. Lei Luo continued to instruct agent. After finding Manchueli, send it to the little people to meet, and then bring it back. Manchueli, the princess of the dwarves, who has the ability to heal fruit, the healing dandelion made by Paramesha can restore people instantly, and the tears shed can cure all kinds of poisons and diseases. Of course, the power must be in your own hands. Chapter 39. The Treasure of Eternal Youth, Pure Gold. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. After Violet was sent away, Lei Luo also walked out of the hall and came to the high wall of the palace. On the huge platform below, King Liku was taking his son-in-law and granddaughter to give a speech to the people of Dressrosa in Germany, accusing Doflamingo of evil, and boasted how great Lord Lei Luo is who defeated Doflamingo and saved the people from the fire and water. For a while, Doflamingo became a heinous devil, and Lei Luo, who saved the entire Dressrosa, was molded into a god by King Liku's stirring words. King Liku's speech was transmitted to the ears of every common people through loudspeakers all over the country. In just over 40 minutes, the people of Dressrosa in Germany reached a consensus and raised their arms and shouted. Long live the great Lei Luo savior. Welcome to the return of the Liku King clan. Suddenly, large tracts of brochures and reward orders were scattered in the air. Rudolph, who has completed the publication of the brochure, is running around the streets and alleys of the kingdom of Dressrosa, spreading the brochures accusing Doflamingo of crimes and praising Lei Luo and offering rewards for Lei Luo all over the land. Lei Luo's arrest order with a reward of 1 billion baileys was enthusiastically looted by the people of Dressrosa, Germany, as if as long as they snatched the reward order with Lei Luo's image on it and hung it at home, they would be able to keep their family safe. Lei Luo called out the system interface, and the task prompt popped up. Mission reminder. Control Dressrosa. Mission reward. Attribute points plus 20. Current progress 90%. Lei Luo frowned slightly. The people all over the country were heartbroken. Why is it only 90%? Boss. The little human Shui Manly has been brought back. The ghost Jin's figure flashed, half kneeling behind Lei Luo, holding the tiny little human princess Manchueli in his hand. The blonde-haired and blue-eyed Manchueli is less than half the size of Jin's palm, and looks more like a moving porcelain doll. Excuse me, are you Lei Luo Lando? Manchueli asked timidly. Landu is the name of the most respectable person in the small people. I am. Lei Luo turned around. Little Manchueli smiled. Her eyes were lost in a small slit, and 2 small dimples appeared on her little face. Thank you for saving 500 Dong Tata compatriots in the factory. Dong Tata the clan is willing to establish an eternal friendship with you. If possible, please protect the Dongtata family, and the Dongtata family will also swear allegiance to you. After the voice fell, Lei Luo's system interface flickered for a while. Control Dressrosa. The progress of the current task is 100%. Congratulations to host for completing the mission. The Dressrosa in control got the mission bonus attribute point plus 20. Advertisement. The corners of Lei Luo's mouth curled up. Dressrosa, who was originally in control, included the Dongtata clan who lived on the peninsula across the bridge from Dressrosa. I can protect you, but I need your healing power. From now on, follow me. Manchueli's soft voice agreed without hesitation. I am willing to serve Lord Lei Luo. If Master Lei Luo needs it, the 2,000 warriors of Dong Ta Ta are ready to serve at any time. Lei Luo waved his hand and said to Ah Jin, put her in the man-made devil fruit factory first, and bring her with me when we leave. Yes. Ah Jin agreed, turned and left. Blue, blue, blue. Lei Luo was about to consume 20 attribute points when the phone worm on his body rang again, and the phone worm itself turned into a purple-haired and big-eyed image, Karina. Hey, it's me, what's the matter? Karina's naturally charming female voice came from the other end of the phone. Boss has something to report to you. Speak. Floyd's pure gold experiment failed again. There is no way to make pure gold based on the literature found at the former site of Alchemy's island. Failed again. Lei Luo's expression didn't change much. At the beginning, he made this pure gold with a fluke mentality, and he had already made mental preparations. If the treasure in this legendary can make people immortal, keep their bodies forever young, and maintain their peak state forever if it was so easy to create, why did those celestial dragons living in Mariajoy search the entire Grand Line to find the way of longevity? What's more, what I found in the island of Alchemy was only incomplete documents. Immortality, eternal youth. No matter which world you are in, this is the ultimate pursuit of human beings. As far as Lei Luo knows, there is only one person in the original pirates who has gained the power of immortality, and he is the ruler of this world, the Lord I Am who would bow down even the celestial dragons. Obtain eternal life through the immortal surgery of the previous generation of Op fruit ability users. In the original book, Trafalgar Law was able to get one of the seats of 7 warlords of the sea, largely because he is an Op fruit capable user of this generation. Why did the world government give him so many special permissions for eternal life? Advertisement. One of the pirate supernovas, Big Eater Bonnie, is one of the weaker groups. Why does the world government offer such a high reward? Because Bonnie's devil fruit can reverse age to some extent, and it is still for eternal life. O'Hara moved by Buster Call, is the hidden secret really just a blank 100 years? In this blank 100 years, is there any record about eternal life? Money, power, and power are all illusions, but eternal life is everything. Understood. Seal up the test data, let Floy and others rest temporarily, this project will stop for a while. Lei Luo said. This Floy was picked up by him at sea, he is a good scientist, he once worked with Vegapunk and Germa 66's Garuda Kaji has worked together, and he is also a rare demon fruit power. The other end of the phone bug. Okay boss, but although Floyd's experiment failed this time, it seems that he has created a new kind of metal, which he called pure gold, and has been completely blocked. Do you have time to come back and take a look? Kind pure gold. It seems that stage progress has been made. Lei Luo was a little moved. Floy was indeed a genius. With that few fragments of literature, he actually made some tricks. In other words, Lei Luo set up the Chamber of Commerce in the first place, earning a huge amount of money in order to collect gold and refine pure gold. Although being a pirate is also very profitable, the funds obtained by plundering are far less than 1/10 of that of doing business. Before the strength has not reached its peak, the most profitable way is always business. A person's physical condition is a parabola. Once it reaches the peak, it will start to decline. Only by maintaining the peak and not falling can it reach its current limit and be the real strongest. And the only thing on this sea that can help him achieve this goal is pure gold. About 200 years ago, the scientist of the island of Alchemy, Mishina Asi, created pure gold, but because of the light of pure gold, it attracted the giant lanternfish of the deep sea, which was more terrifying than sea kings. All 3 isles of Alchemy were swallowed by the giant lanternfish. If Floy still can't make pure gold, he can only start with this deep sea monster. In short, this power must be obtained. If I remember correctly, Oro Jawei, the daughter of Mishina Asir, escaped from the belly of the big lanternfish 2 years later. I see. Give the scientific research department the treatment it deserves, and I will find time to go back. Also, as soon as the news of Dressrosa spreads, you immediately put all the business in New World on the signboard of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Yes. Karina agreed bluntly. Chapter 40. White Paper Flower Lei Luo, Marine's Confidant. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Lei Luo returned to the palace hall and called out the system interface. Name. Lei Luo. Age 24. Strength. Admiral Early. Armament Haki level. Absolute defense 221 thousandths. Progress to 501 thousandths can be upgraded to Admiral Medium. Keep working hard. Attribute point balance 20. Gain buff none. Task. The king is not afraid of strong enemies. Defeat Jack the Drow who came to collect man-made devil fruit. Task reward. Attribute points plus 30. With a thought, Lei Luo used up all 20 freshly released attribute points, and the progress bar in the Armament Haki column went up a little bit. Absolute defense 241 thousandths. Almost at the same time, a burst of fiery temperature came from Lei Luo's right arm. The temperature spread from the tip of his right finger to the top of his right back arm. Armament Haki surged, and the entire right arm instantly turned into an extremely deep lacquer black. The heat continued to spread until it covered Lei Luo's entire shoulder blades. Could it be? Lei Luo suddenly realized something, found a mirror, took off his clothes and took a look. Sure enough, the Armament Haki on the right shoulder became the same color as the right arm, darker than the blackened armament on other parts of the body. As soon as he clenched his right hand, there was a dull sonic boom. The muscles from the palm to the arm, and then from the arm to the shoulder tensed instantly. With a thought, Lei Luo concentrated a force on his right arm at a very fast speed. Up to now, Compared to before, the speed of fist charging is about 0.2 seconds faster. When a master fights, the outcome can be decided in an instant, life and death, and the speed of charging power is suddenly increased by 0.2 seconds, which is already a very remarkable improvement. Randomly waving his arms, there was a dull sound of breaking wind immediately. The violent sound did not seem to be caused by waving his arms at all, but rather like waving a heavy giant stick. Advertisement. Dissipate the concentrated strength on the right arm, and make a fist with the left and right hands at the same time. When the two hands are compared, the gap is highlighted at once. The reaction speed of the right arm is 0.5 seconds faster than that of the left arm, with higher flexibility and stronger coordination. It seems that the right shoulder blade connected by the right arm bone has also completed the long-lasting arm blackening. If this progress continues, the whole body will be able to achieve long-lasting arm blackening. By then, it will be possible to face Garp the Fist, Black Arm Zephyr, Kong. These powerhouses who have been famous in the sea for decades are not afraid of the slightest. Then look at the system task column, defeat Jack the Drow, reward 30 attribute points. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth twitched into a sneer, and after winning these 30 attribute points, his own strength will have another qualitative leap. That night, King Liku knocked on the door of Lei Luo's room with a thick stack of documents, hoping to recall the former Minister of Humorous, and applied to allow them to hold a meeting in the side hall of the palace when Lei Luo was away. Lei Luo directly agreed that the management of the country should be left to professionals like King Liku, and what he has to do is to use the power of Dressrosa to gather more funds for the subsequent pier preparing for the gold test. On the other hand, the news that Lei Luo made a fuss against Dressrosa and defeated Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, also reached Marine's ears after a day of fermentation. Naval Headquarters Marineford on the first half of the Grand Line. Marine Marshal Sengoku clenched his fists when he looked at the photos on the table. There were only 3 photos on the table. One was a white paper flower. The other one is the ruins of the coastal pier in Dressrosa, which was attacked by Lei Luo. The last one is 7 warlords of the sea. The current king Doflamingo of Dressrosa was hanged dying at the gate of Dressrosa Palace. Boom. Sengoku punched the desk hard. The follow-up turmoil of the previous Banaro Island incident had just calmed down a few days ago, and this guy turned upside down again in Dressrosa. At first, when he received the news that the White Paper Flower Merchant Guild had gone to the building, and there was no news about the White Paper Flower Merchant Guild and Lei Luo for a period of time, he naively thought that Lei Luo had hibernated and behaved himself. Unexpectedly, this guy is planning an even more earth-shattering event. A pirate, attacking a country, and one of the most powerful countries in the world government, Doflamingo, who was attacked as the blood of celestial dragons. According to the information provided by the news agency, Doflamingo's development of devil fruit has reached the terrifying level of devil fruit's awakening, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it has reached its peak. Advertisement. But even Doflamingo, who had awakened devil fruit, couldn't survive 10 minutes in Lei Luo's hands. No, to be precise, he couldn't survive 3 moves. Even devil fruit awakened is not his opponent, so it seems that Lei Luo's strength has probably reached the same level as the 3 admirals. Hiss. Sengoku breathed a sigh of relief. In just 1 month, this Lei Luo has become Marine's confidant. The most terrible thing is that Doflamingo actually used the devil fruit ability in Dressrosa to commit the heinous crime of forcibly kidnapping more than 10,000 people as labor force. But if Doflamingo is punished, it just goes according to Lei Luo's wishes. It's like being led by the nose by him, a headache. Moreover, every time this Lei Luo appears, the involvement is extremely extensive. Last time it was Roger's evil bloodline, this time it was Dressrosa's dragon noble. Sengoku's head got dizzy for a while. I really don't know what the next time will be. Of course, what annoyed Sengoku the most was that not long after the 7 warlords of the sea's mandatory call-up order came out, Lei Luo went to Dressrosa to set off Doflamingo's situation. The plan of the Whitebeard pirates had to be temporarily shelved. I thought that summoning the 7 warlords of the sea and the 3 admirals could firmly overwhelm the Whitebeard pirates, but now, the original 7 warlords of the sea sand crocodile lock is in the deep sea prison, and now Doflamingo is missing. In addition, Jinbei and the Whitebeard pirates are friendly again, and less than half of the 7 warlords of the sea can be recruited. It is no exaggeration to say that this guy Lei Luo broke his whole plan by himself. The only good thing is that after I asked Sakazuki to say hello to the news agency last time, these guys were obviously much more honest and did not send the news directly. The impact of the incident is still within the controllable range for the time being. Well, Sengoku let out a long sigh, and took out the special phone worm in the drawer. This phone worm can dial only one number, which is the power room that symbolizes the highest power in the world and is commanded by the 5 elders. As for matters involving celestial dragons, I'd better leave it to the higher-ups to worry about. Chapter 41. The 5 Elders Among Powers. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. A few minutes later, in the room of power controlled by the 5 elders, which symbolizes the highest power in the world, the video phone bug projected Sengoku's appearance. White paper flower Lei Luo. Attacked Dressrosa and set off Doflamingo's scene. The old man in a dark blue suit, full of straight white hair, and a long beard hanging down to his chest said in a calm voice. The last time I heard the name, White paper flower Lei Luo, was the Banaro Island incident a month ago. Due to the bad influence of the incident, the 5 of them negotiated and set a reward of 1 billion Baileys. Wanted all over the world, I didn't expect this guy who appeared out of nowhere to make such a big fuss so quickly. The cause of the incident was that Doflamingo swallowed the root of Lei Luo by paper flower chamber of commerce while Lei Luo was wanted all over the world, and Lei Luo disappeared for a month, and then directly appeared in Dressrosa, setting off Doflamingo's venue. Moreover, a series of vicious incidents were involved. Sengoku saluted the 5 elders through the video phone bug, and then told the whole incident with a hint of shock in his tone. Doflamingo is a devil fruit awakener. Didn't he get through 3 tricks under Lei Luo's hands? The 5 elders are a bit surprised, they are all too familiar with Doflamingo. They are servants of Lord I Am, and they are directly responsible for celestial dragons. Of course, they know that Don Quixote Doflamingo, a heavenly dragon noble who has fallen into the mortal world, has developed string fruit, a third-rate devil fruit, into ultimate, which is also a special addition to Conqueror's Haki. Existence, stole Dressrosa who should have belonged to the Don Quixote clan 100 years ago, and even released the rhetoric of robbing the heavenly gold that was enshrined to the celestial dragons. Strength, courage, and potential are all rare levels. He was able to develop string fruit to fruit awakening, which really surprised the 5 elders, but what surprised the 5 elders even more was that Doflamingo, the devil fruit awakener, failed to perform 3 tricks in the hands of Lei Luo. You know, once the devil fruit is awakened, the strength of the ability user will increase exponentially. With the mere Armament Haki, this Lei Luo can crush the devil fruit awakener with Conqueror's Haki. Even the 5 elders, who see the world every day, can't believe it. This completely violated their common sense. According to the news I got, those people under Doflamingo were defeated before they even had time to make a move. Lei Luo destroyed the entire coastal pier in Dressrosa with 1 punch. Armament Haki of this power, I dare say, he's stronger than the young Garp. Advertisement. Marshal Sengoku sighed and said, thinking of Lei Luo, his confidant, gave him headaches. The 5 elders reacted abruptly, and their complexions immediately became serious. Stronger than the young Garp. Who is Garp? Sending Roger to the execution platform, he personally ended the marine hero in the Roger era of the One Piece, and the refinement of the armed color has reached the pinnacle. Although Garp's attainments in Armament Haki when he was young were not as high as they are today. But the 5 elders who watched Garp grow up are very clear that none of the 3 admirals today can compare to the young Garp. Sengoku compares this Lei Luo with the young Garp. He can set off an extremely powerful force with 1 punch. This is how the coastal pier of Dressrosa was destroyed. His fist is like a replica of Whitebeard shock fruit. Although it is not so exaggerated, it destroys power as equally terrifying. In addition, Doflamingo seems to have lost to Lei Luo in the aura competition, and was backlashed by his own aura, and according to the information we got, Lei Luo does not have Conqueror's Haki. While speaking, Sengoku obviously lacked confidence. If these news were not transmitted by the news agency, he would really doubt the authenticity of these news. What? The 5 elders all raised their heads suddenly, their 5 old faces were full of astonishment. Someone without Conqueror's Haki overpowering Doflamingo with Conqueror's Haki on the aura. How can this be? If you don't have Conquerors, no matter how strong your aura and strength are, you can only stand under the pressure of Conquerors, and it is absolutely impossible to suppress the side with Conqueror's Haki in turn. The aptitude that only kings can possess is not just for fun. Advertisement. After living for so many years, it was the first time for 5 elders to hear such a fantasy. The only bald man in the 5 elders who was not wearing a suit finally put down his favorite knife, and said to Sengoku with a solemn expression, "We all know, you should step back first." Yes, Sengoku agreed, saluted again, and turned off the video phone bug. Tell me, everyone, about this Lei Luo, and how Doflamingo will deal with it. The bald man said coldly. It was obvious that even among the 5 elders, he had a very high status. A mere Armament Haki, how strong can it be? Can it be stronger than your knife? 5 elders, wearing a dark red suit, no bow tie, and gold hair and beard, said, his words were full of disdain. Armed color, this is the most vulgar, although not high-grade power in Conqueror's Haki. Whether it is compared to the knowledgeable insight into the future, or compared to the suppression of Conqueror's courage, it is very rough. The only possibility is that Doflamingo's heart is not firm enough, otherwise, how could he lose to a person without the qualifications of a king? It's really in vain that Lord Fame valued him so much, said 5 elders with a scar. Bang bang. The bald man knocked on the table. Then decide how to deal with these 2 people. Since this Lei Luo Armament Haki is so strong, then find him a comparable opponent. Just try to find out how strong he is. Let Garp go. Let him upgrade to Admiral and he won't upgrade. Protect celestial dragons don't go. It's time to do something for the world government. Said 5 elders in the red suit. The rest of the people nodded in unison. 5 elders with a long beard in a dark blue suit said, as for Doflamingo, hey, he can't cover his position, and it's useless to give him more preferential treatment. Usurping the country and using devil fruit to force tens of thousands of labor, these 2 things are missing. The impact is too great, in my opinion, there is no need to protect him anymore. Take the title of 7 warlords of the sea and throw it into the deep sea prison. The bald man with a high status nodded and said, well, let's do it this way. Let Garp bring another admiral, immediately dispatch Dressrosa, and bring back the 2 chief culprits, Lei Luo and Doflamingo, to be punished. Chapter 42. The news spreads, shocking the new world. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Beard mustache, balding, and wearing a dark green suit, 5 elders tapped on the table. Dressrosa, report selectively. Those vicious incidents have too much impact. 5 elders in a black suit immediately vetoed it. Since we have decided not to give Doflamingo the green light, we don't need to hide anything anymore. Inform Morgans of the news agency and write the incident in a big way. A positive publicity campaign for force. The bald man pondered for a moment. That's right, let the news agency print it overnight, and make sure to spread the news all over the world before Marine arrives in Dressrosa. In this way, Lei Luo made a big fuss about Dressrosa, which set off the Doflamingo venue. The big event quickly spread to the whole world through the newspapers, causing an uproar in the entire Grand Line in the early morning of the next day. New World, the seas of all nations ruled by the Bigmom pirates. In the castle of Cake Island, Bigmom, one of the 4 emperors, sat on the throne. The saliva from the corner of his mouth corroded the carpet on the ground, and below, the 3 dessert generals of the Charlotte family and the ministers of all nations were all present. That Lei Luo kicked off 7 warlords of the sea Doflamingo. Charlotte Linlin keeps popping the talking pastry into her mouth, dismissing what Katakuri says. Doflamingo. Come to think of it, he's that kid who does all sorts of business. He has something to do with Kaido, but his strength is just that. Charlotte Linlin didn't care at all. At her level, the 7 warlords of the sea and the pirate supernova are all scum. Listening to the news about these so-called rising stars is purely for fun. Mom, there is a discrepancy between the news this time and our information. Doflamingo is a devil fruit awakened. Moreover, Doflamingo who used devil fruit awakened failed to survive the 3 moves by Lei Luo. Katakuri held the latest issue of the newspaper and spread it out in front of her. Advertisement. Charlotte Linlin was chewing the pastry in her mouth. She glanced over it indifferently, her eyes froze suddenly, and the chewing movement in her mouth stopped abruptly. The newspaper not only contained text, but also included several photos. The whole report took up an entire section of the newsprint. One of the photos was a scene where Doflamingo suddenly vomited blood. You could see Lei Luo standing on top of a tiger-headed sea kings, which is nearly 100 meters away from Doflamingo. Being able to beat Doflamingo until he vomits blood at such a distance, this Lei Luo is indeed capable, and he is qualified to be her son-in-law of the Charlotte family, but... Charlotte Linlin continued to look down. Conqueror's Haki. The white paper flower Lei Luo, a person without Conqueror's Haki, actually crushed Doflamingo with Conquerors in an aura collision. Doflamingo was backlashed by Conqueror's fate. Even Charlotte Linlin, one of the 4 emperors, was involuntarily taken aback and stood up abruptly. After a while, Charlotte Linlin, who realized that she had lost her composure, sat down again and looked at the group of children. How about the marriage invitation to Lei Luo? Smoothie, one of the 3 stars of desserts, stood up. I have not been able to find Lei Luo's whereabouts before, and the marriage invitation was sent directly to the Whitebeard pirates, and there has been no reply yet. Charlotte took a deep breath from Linlin with a sullen face. Is this not showing her face? Send it again, together with the invitation letter for the tea party in 2 months. If they are shameless again, follow the old rules. Bigmom's tea party invitation is also known as an invitation that cannot be refused, because once the person who receives the invitation refuses, he will receive the head of his relatives, friends and other related people the next day. The children of the Charlotte family below were taken aback and asked, Mom, are we going to fight the Whitebeard pirates? Wouldn't this upset the balance among the 4 emperors? Advertisement. Shut up. Katakuri sneered, Mother's doing so is justified. A person as strong as Lei Luo, if he can't win over and form an alliance, he can only kill him. Before he fully grows up. Charlotte Linlin nodded for a while, knowing the mother, and the only second son, Katakuri. At the same moment, on the far side of the New World. The Whitebeard pirates are in the territorial waters, and the Moby Dick is lying on the sea like a huge white whale. On the deck, the captains of Division 15 gathered around to read the latest issue of the newspaper, with surprise on their faces, but more pride and pride. Look, Dad, it's the vice captain. The vice captain finally has news. It's so mighty Haki, it's a great name for our Whitebeard pirates. Ace held the newspaper in one hand and the meat in the other, his brows were full of excitement, as if it wasn't Lei Luo who did the big thing, but him. He has been worried about the vice captain since he came back from the Dragon Palace on the Fishman Island. Although the vice captain's subordinate Karina sent news, Ace's worry has not stopped for a day. After all, the vice captain is in the world because of saving him. It caused an uproar. Marco, the captain of the first team, is proud, but there is also a hint of doubt in his eyes. I feel like this newspaper is embellishing. They are deliberately smearing the vice captain and making the world government realize that the vice captain is a threat, so that they can target the vice captain. Chapter 43. Hanging the flag, the white paper flower chamber of commerce is revived. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Everyone nodded. Anyway, it's too exaggerated for a person without Conqueror's Haki to suppress someone with Conqueror's Haki in an aura confrontation. Especially, it also caused Doflamingo to suffer the backlash of his own fate. As the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, they have fought against people with Conquerors more than once. No matter how strong they are, without the blessing of Conquerors, they can stand upright in the face of enemies with Conquerors. Suppress the side that owns the Conquerors. Although this report blew up the strength of their deputy captain Lei Luo to the sky, but the credibility is too low. Whitebeard smiled. Gu la la la. If it's Lei Luo, it's not surprising that he can do such a thing. My sons, Go ahead and order all the forces in the territorial sea, but anyone who is under the care of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce and has business dealings with the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, all hang up the banner of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Yes, it was also the Redforth sailing on the sea. Boss, take a quick look, the latest issue of the newspaper, it's amazing. Lajulu, who had an exceptionally round figure, rushed to the red-haired Shanks while biting the flesh in his hand. Lajulu, what can make you so excited and astonished? Shanks, still hungover, lifted his tired eyelids. Boss, take a quick look, Lei Luo went to Dressrosa to blow up Doflamingo's field. Not to mention Doflamingo who defeated the Devil Fruit Awakener, and suppressed Doflamingo's Conqueror's Haki. Lajulu said excitedly, and Usopp, Ben Beckman and others who heard the words surrounded him with curious faces. Lei Luo. Shanks sobered up all of a sudden. Advertisement. The cause of the incident was that Doflamingo swallowed Lei Luo's root on the first half of the Grand Line. As a result, a month later, Lei Luo came to him to destroy his position. However, this report is exaggerated a lot. Lajulu said with a questioning tone. His captain, the red-haired Shanks, has the strongest Conqueror's Haki. The crew members are naturally very familiar with Conqueror's Haki. People without Conqueror's Haki can suppress those who have Conqueror's Haki, and also trigger the latter's fate. This is simply a fairy tale, like the Arabian Nights. After Shanks finished reading the newspaper, he laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, it's indeed Lei Luo. After a month of hibernation, he made such a big noise as soon as he came out, and directly picked Dressrosa. Good job. It's not in vain for us to make a secret alliance with the Whitebeard pirates. Lajulu, Usopp, please inform and order all the forces within our sphere of influence, but anyone who has business with the Whitebeard flower merchant will put up a white paper the flag of the Florist Guild. Yes, Lajulu and Usopp readily agreed, but did not execute it immediately, but asked, Boss, is Lei Luo worthy of our help with such fanfare? The credibility of this report is not high. The redhead looked at the newspaper and said with some emotion, Conquerors is not the only aura that can shock people. Lei Luo specializes in armed color, and being able to suppress Doflamingo can only show that his armed color has been cultivated to a very strong level. New World's largest entertainment island, Nessa's, the new headquarters of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, Karina hangs up the phone bug, with a very charming but innocent smile on her face. Fortunately, she was smart, and immediately notified the Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates, and hung the banner of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce as soon as the Dressrosa incident spread. It must be too late to do it at the last minute. After everything is done, the White Paper Flower Merchant Association is officially revived in New World. Just wait for Lei Luo, a big trotter, to come back and praise her for being great. Advertisement. Wanokuni, Ghost Island. Since this country is on the edge of the second half of the Grand Line and is under a closed-door policy, it naturally took more time for the Dressrosa incident to spread here. In a castle built inside a giant skull, Governor Kaido is gurgling strong liquor. It's not good, Governor. Jin, the leader of the three disasters, rushed in. Dressrosa has been taken, and Doflamingo has been captured. Jin is reporting in the most concise language. What? Kaido of the Beast sobered up instantly, stood up suddenly, and his majestic body caused a wave of anger, which D did it. Dressrosa, however, has his most important artificial devil fruit business, which is the most important thing for him to form the Beast's pirates. It's Lei Luo. It's the vice captain who suddenly appeared from the Whitebeard pirates. Jin handed over the newspaper. Kaido didn't read the newspaper at all, and smashed the armrest of the stone chair beside him with a heavy punch. Tell Jack, hurry to Dressrosa at full speed, no matter what, bring me the artificial devil fruit, and take back the technology of man-made devil fruit. No matter what the cost. Yes. A few minutes later, on the Mammoth, which was only a few nautical miles away from Dressrosa, Jack the Drow stood at the bow of the ship, with a flash of contempt in his eyes, and threw the newspaper in his hand into the sea. Governor Kaido has ordered, at all costs the price, bring back the man-made devil fruit, snatch the man-made devil fruit technology. Attack. Chapter 44. Jack the Drow, bombard Dressrosa. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. Lei Luo. A sneer twitched at the corner of Jack's mouth, even dare to touch Governor Kaido's business. What a lifeless thing. Offended Governor Kaido and thought Whitebeard could save you. Hey, that old guy is just a remnant of the old era. He is old and sick. After a long time, he has already stepped into the coffin with one foot. An incomparably cold and cruel aura gushed out from Jack. Just standing there gave people a sense of oppression that was as cold as ice but as sharp as a knife, as if he would be killed in the next second. The tyrannical breath overwhelmed the crew on the Mammoth. Plop flop. There was a series of crouching and kneeling sounds on the deck behind Captain Jack. Hearing the call of his subordinates, Jack withdrew his aura, and there was a gleam of coldness in his eyes. Without conquerors, just relying on his own tyrannical aura to intimidate people, making people kneel on the ground in a state of fear. This kind of thing is easy for him. Anyone who has slaughtered a city by himself will have such an aura, which is the so-called murderous aura. As for the conquerors who suppressed Doflamingo, hey, that only shows that the clown Doflamingo is too low class. Even if Conqueror's Haki is added, he does not have enough courage to control the power of the king, because he is not worthy. Not everyone is like Governor Kaido, chosen by fate, and can shock the world. Jack the Drow put away the killing aura all over his body, and the crew on the deck suddenly relaxed. Cold sweat dripped from the tip of their noses, as if they had walked before the gate of hell. Speak. Jack the Drow said coldly. His voice was thick and icy. Listening to him speak, it was like being suddenly awakened by a thunderstorm, and then immediately frozen in ice. The crew obviously didn't recover from the fear. At present, we are less than 1 nautical mile away from Dressrosa, and Dressrosa has entered the range of the Mammoth's modified main gun. Very good. Jack's voice was like thunder. Let's say hello first. Advertisement. Clear. The crew agreed, and 10 seconds later, boom. The thunderous cannons resounded throughout the sea. The fired cannonball smashed towards the coastal wharf with scorching heat and unparalleled impact, boom. There was another thunderclap, and the sky was filled with dust and smoke. The ruins of the coastal pier completely collapsed, and only one shell destroyed a quarter of the coastal pier. Pirate, it's a pirate. The pirates are attacking. Hurry up and tell Lord Lei Luo and His Majesty King Liku. The soldiers standing guard at the coastal pier did not expect to be attacked by powerful enemies today just after taking up their posts yesterday. Boom boom boom. Before the words fell, several shells landed on the territory of Dressrosa. It is obvious that the shelling this time was corrected. It passed over the ruined coastal pier and landed directly on the solid city wall. Several large holes were blasted out of the city wall, and there was a sudden tremor, and even the ground trembled violently. The residents near the city wall were in a mess, crying and fleeing for their lives. Ha 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 ha. Lei Luo. Get out and die. Jack the Drow's deep voice shook the seawater into churning. Almost at the same time, at the entrance of the Dressrosa palace, Doflamingo, who was hung on the high wall, had a crazy and twisted smile on his face. Babbling. Just listen to the sound of the cannon, the improved long-range bombardment shell exclusively for Jack the Drow's mammoth main gun. Lei Luo, your time of death is coming. In the palace, Lei Luo had a cold look in his eyes. Jack the Drow, you are finally here. When Lei Luo came to the palace compound, he ran into King Liku, who hurried to report, the king of a country in Dressrosa, who acted as a messenger at this time. It's not good, Mr. Lei Luo, Jack the Drow is calling. They seem to have some kind of secret deal with Doflamingo. This time they came suddenly, it must be. Before King Liku could finish speaking, Lei Luo interrupted with a wave of his hand. Do what you should do. As the voice fell, Lei Luo stomped his feet violently, and Armament Haki surged all over his body, leaving a deep pit of more than 1 meter on the ground. Like somersaulting clouds, they came directly to the coastal pier between one rise and one fall. Boom. Accompanied by a violent sound, the violent impact caused the ground to tremble violently, quickly cracked and collapsed, and the aftermath of the landing alone set off smoke and dust all over the sky. Advertisement. The civilians who had been making a mess of porridge calmed down instantly. When they saw that it was Lei Luo, they stopped panicking and ran away. Lord Lei Luo, it's Lord Lei Luo who is here. Great. Long live Lord Lei Luo. Long live Lord Lei Luo, let them know how great you are. All of a sudden, bursts of shouts erupted from the crowd, as if Lei Luo was coming, they had a backbone. Suddenly, a huge hot shell with a diameter of 60 centimeters fell on the head. Crack. With a soft sound, the cannonball was directly caught in Lei Luo's hand. The hot cannonball seemed to have no temperature in Lei Luo's hand. Lei Luo weighed the cannonball, fixed his eyes on the mammoth offshore, and pushed his palm forward violently. Hum. The cannonball actually brought a quick and dull sound of breaking the wind, and galloped towards the mammoth at an even faster speed. Boom. The explosion sounded like thunder coming to the world, and even the specially reinforced mammoth was blown out of a big hole, and the crew were killed and injured. Jack the Drow didn't care about the casualties of his subordinates at all. He only felt that His Majesty and the majesty of the beast's pirates had been provoked. With a fierce light in his eyes, he squatted violently, his legs were charged, and the huge weight pushed the mammoth under him, pressed the stern up. Immediately afterwards, Jack flew up like a cannonball, the unbalanced mammoth shook violently, and Jack also landed steadily on the ruins of the coastal wharf, and the body that slammed into the ground shook the ground. I had to shake it 3 times. At the same time, Lei Luo's left and right hands, the 2 ghosts who knocked on the door, the ghost agent and the ghost-eyed Rudolph also arrived at the same time. Jack the Drow, who was more than 8 meters tall, looked down at the 3 of Lei Luo, like a tall African elephant looking at the 3 rabbits at his feet. Your name is Lei Luo. Didn't the newspaper say that you picked Dressrosa alone? Why did you bring your subordinates with you? It's an exaggeration. Ha ha ha, it's useless for me to come all this way, it seems that your strength is also very watery. Jack the Drow said with a big grin, the contempt in his words was undisguised. Chapter 45. Captain Jack is at a disadvantage. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Dare to disrespect the boss. Die. The ghost Jin was picked up by Lei Luo. For him, Lei Luo is the sky, so how can Jack's foul language be tolerated? A cold and murderous aura suddenly burst out, covering Jack the Drow like a mountain top. Jack the Drow didn't take it seriously at all, and it's embarrassing to show this level of murderous intent. The subordinates are nothing more than that, and the leader must not be much stronger. Cruel, cold as a whistling wind, and as sharp as a killing blade, the tyrannical aura directly crushed the ghost man agent, and at the same time sneered, Deputy Captain Lei Luo, your subordinates are very undisciplined. How about, I will take care of it for you. Speak out loud. Ah Jin, step back. Lei Luo shouted back Ah Jin, stomped his feet, and a burst of incomparably powerful and domineering aura immediately unfolded, directly crashing into Jack the Dro's chilling aura like a mountain with no top to see. Boom. The surrounding air vibrated violently centered on the two of them. It was obvious that the aura collided, but there was a violent sound like an explosion in the air, and the spreading power set off billowing dust and smoke. It's not your turn to take care of my subordinates, but I can help Kaido discipline his subordinates. Lei Luo said coldly. Jack the Dro's face changed slightly. This feeling was like bumping into a mountain. No matter how sharp or turbulent his breath was, he couldn't break through the mountain. Compete with me. You are 100 years too early. Jack the Dro didn't believe this evil. The aura all over his body increased violently, crushing towards Lei Luo and the three overwhelmingly, but the next second, Jack's expression froze on his face. How come? Is this guy really that strong? Advertisement. Obviously he had maximized his own aura, yet this Lei Luo was still standing still, without even moving his footsteps, just standing there like an ancient mountain. The most terrible thing is that the two people behind Lei Luo are also standing still, and they have no reaction in the face of this overwhelming killing aura. This does not mean that these two people are strong, but because this guy named Lei Luo, the chilling aura bursting out was completely blocked. It's just a brat in his early 20s, even if he started practicing in the womb, he shouldn't be so strong. Jack the Dro was horrified, but Ajin and Rudolph behind Lei Luo were even more horrified. The two looked at each other, and they both saw the shock in each other's eyes. They could clearly feel the surrounding air vibrating violently, and the ruins behind them collapsed again due to the air waves caused by the collision of the old Yamato Jack's aura. The two of them stood behind the boss of Lei Luo, and they didn't feel it at all, completely unaffected. Boss Lei Luo's strength is really bottomless. Finally, Lei Luo spoke, with a hint of impatience flashing between his brows. Your aura. That's it. Show you mine. Lei Luo's expression froze, his eyes surged with indescribable domineering power, his aura shot up explosively like a rocket. It wasn't Conqueror's, nor murderous aura, it was just pure powerhouse aura. Click. The surrounding boulders were instantly shattered by the violent air vibration caused by the domineering aura, and the sand, gravel and floating soil on the ground even floated up, and Jack the Dro on the opposite side was completely enveloped by this domineering aura. It's like an invisible mountain crushing down. Puff. Jack the Dro couldn't bear it all of a sudden, and vomited out a mouthful of blood. His huge body more than 8 meters high staggered back a dozen steps before he finally stabilized. On the other hand, Lei Luo remained motionless, as stable as Mount High. Jack panted heavily, desperately suppressing the influx of blood. His face was flushed. Yes, it was flushed. He is also a master of Armament Haki, and he has already reached the level of control over his own blood. Refers to the absolute height. However, just now, at the moment when Lei Luo's aura suddenly became stronger, the flow of chi and blood in his body became disordered. Advertisement. Defeating in a second is simply absolute suppression without any suspense. The crew of the Mammoth, who had barely arrived at this time, looked at the panting Jack, their eyes filled with horror, and a feeling of inconceivability swept over their bodies. What just happened? The invincible Captain Jack is at a disadvantage in the aura confrontation. Then, how powerful is the opponent? Jack's breathing gradually stabilized, and he looked at Lei Luo again with a trace of fear, underestimating the enemy. This guy is as difficult to deal with as the rumors say, but it's just not easy to deal with. Lei Luo, according to the rules of pirates, this Dressrosa was brought down by you, so it belongs to you. But there are two things that Lousy must take away. Doflamingo, and a technique he has mastered. Otherwise. Jack's voice stopped suddenly, and as soon as he raised his hand, the main gun of the Mammoth immediately stood up and opened its maximum elevation angle. I will level the entire Dressrosa, and you will get nothing. Also, I represent the Beast's pirates. You don't want to cause the two to go to war directly, do you? The Whitebeard pirates and the Beast's pirates are both one of the 4 Emperor's pirates. If the two fight directly, it will definitely cause a storm all over the world. The threat in Jack the Dro's words is palpable, as if he has already settled for Lei Luo. Lei Luo sneered and said, let's wait until your Governor Kaido, who is hiding in Wano-kuni, has the courage to come out. If you want to fight, fight, if you don't fight, go away. Jack the Dro's breathing was short of breath, his eyes were red, the majesty of Governor Kaido and the majesty of Beast's pirates were not offensive, and his huge body of more than 8 meters expanded rapidly, growing to a height of more than 10 meters in just a few breaths. The mammoth fruit, complete animal form, activate. The elephant's trunk, which was as thick as a building, swung violently, setting off a dull and swift sound of breaking wind, and called Lei Luo directly, you asked for this. Chapter 46. Mammoth Fruit, the strongest half-orc form. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. MK Sports. Zhong Jin Zhongjia, Teiyu Zhong Li, Rang Nin Jing Kai Kai Chi Shinda Yin Yen, Zui Gao KT Xian 36 Wan, Wu Shu Kun Quan. Lejia Zheng Duo Shang Xing. The thick elephant trunk was covered with a layer of dark armament haki and swept over. The air exploded as it passed, earth, rocks, and flying sand danced wildly. It swept in front of Lei Luo in the blink of an eye. Jack the Dro's eyes were full of ferocity, as if he had seen it. The scene in front of this arrogant brat was blown out. Die, the majesty of Governor Kaido cannot be offended. Lei Luo let out a shallow breath, and the way of breathing has changed between exhaling and inhaling. Just for a moment, the dark and deep armament haki covered the whole body. Boom. A deep muffled sound followed, and immediately after, Jack the Dro's eyes changed visibly with the naked eye. Even in the form of a mammoth, one could read the shock from his long-haired face. There was a burst of severe tearing pain from the elephant's trunk. This nose seemed to be whipped on the extremely hard steel. The steel was fine, but the reaction force was all on the nose. The pain was numb, almost to the point of losing consciousness. The smoke cleared away, only to see Lei Luo embracing his elephant trunk with his unmoving hands. How come? Can't sweep this guy. What a tyrannical Armament Haki. You know, he is not the zone demon fruit power of common, but an extremely rare zone ancient species, and even a mammoth form known for its absolute tyrannical power. Instant smash. This guy named Lei Luo was able to catch his trunk sweep covering Armament Haki without moving a muscle. Outmatching him both in strength and Armament Haki, it was the first time Jack the Drow had faced such a formidable opponent since joining the Beast's pirates. Several crew members around Jack were also stunned. How can it be? Captain Jack's trunk sweep was blocked, and the opponent did not move an inch. The crew looked at me and I looked at you, and they all saw deep shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. Since following Captain Jack, they have never seen such a scene. On the contrary, Agent and Rudolph looked calm and opposed our boss, that's all. Advertisement. After all, Jack the Drow is an old pirate who has crossed the Grand Line for many years. He has rich combat experience. After a brief daze, he quickly came back to his senses. He was about to throw Lei Luo away with all his strength, but he never thought about Lei Luo's reaction. Faster. Lei Luo's arms seemed to be turned into a pair of big iron pincers, tightly clasping Jack's long nose, starting from the ground, his back and arms exerted force at the same time. Get over here. Jack the Drow's eyes enlarged in an instant, and they bulged out fiercely, because under Lei Luo's powerful tug, he was actually pulled out of his body, and was dragged off the ground by Lei Luo. Lose your center of gravity. How can this be? Is this guy a robot? How could he have such great strength? You know, he, transformed into a mammoth, already weighed more than 10 tons, dragging him out of his center of gravity. How much terrifying strength can it take? The crew members accompanying Jack were already stunned. Lei Luo, who was more than 2 meters tall, turned into a mammoth, and Jack the Drow, who was more than 10 meters tall, became weightless. The huge volume contrast and strong visual impact between the two made everyone feel that the scene in front of them was extremely unreal. Even seeing it with your own eyes is unbelievable. Ever seen a rabbit dragging an elephant away? See you now. Before everyone could recover from their shock, an extremely fast but dull sound of breaking wind suddenly rang in their ears. Not good. When Jack realized something was wrong, it was too late. He only had time to wrap his head with Armament Haki. Boom. The punch hit the flesh, and the hit part was deeply sunken. Jack the Drow's eyes were instantly bloodshot, as if he had been struck by lightning. This powerful punch made his brain buzz and his consciousness was blurred. The moment the punch hit, Lei Luo let go of his arm, and Jack the Drow's huge body suddenly turned into a huge parabola and fell towards the sea. Captain. Advertisement. Captain Jack. The crew of the mammoth suddenly panicked, shouting and running towards the sea. The demon fruit power fell into the sea. The consequences can be imagined. Boom. Jack's huge body fell into the sea water. The sea surface and the ground trembled 3 times, and the splash was dozens of feet high. However, the seawater near the sea couldn't submerge his body like a hill at all. All of a sudden, there was a strong wave of air on the beach, and all the crew members of the mammoth who went to rescue Jack the Drow were blown away, and Jack's impatient voice came from the mist. Go away. Bang, bang, bang. Then, there was a dull sound of footsteps in the mist. Every time the sound of footsteps sounded, the ground trembled violently, like an intermittent earthquake. Out of the water mist came out a huge monster about 10 meters high, with a human body like a head. The towering body and the bloodthirsty aura emanating from the whole body gave people a strong sense of oppression. The crew of the mammoth were terrified. What kind of monster is this? Where is Captain Jack? The old crew member covered his mouth and shouted in a low voice in panic. Idiot, do you want to die? Don't talk nonsense. This is the strongest battle form of Captain Jack. It is faster than the human form and stronger than the mammoth form. The power of Armament Haki will be maximized. Its name is. The old crew member took a deep breath, as if he had to muster up a lot of courage to say the next thing. Its name is the mammoth half-orc form. I've only seen this form once during the battle between Captain Jack and Governor Kaido. It's powerful enough to destroy the world. Jack the Drow clenched his 10 fingers, and his joints burst into a muffled sound. Lei Luo, for forcing me into this form, you really deserve to die. Since you are looking for death, you can't blame me. Chapter 47. Horrified Jack the Drow asked for comments and flowers. Advertisement. Half-orc form. Looking at Jack the Drow walking out of the mist, Lei Luo's eyes froze. In his impression, Jack the Drow hardly used this form. Among the human form, beast form and half-orc form of zone demon fruit power, the half-orc form, which combines the flexibility of the human form and the strength, speed, and physical fitness of the animal form, is almost the strongest of the 3 forms recognized in the world. Jack the Drow clenched his fists. The double walls were covered with a layer of dark and deep Armament Haki. His thick legs burst out with explosive force, and in the blink of an eye, the sandbag-sized black fist had already hit Lei Luo before. Die Lei Luo. Lei Luo's eyes were sharp and his hands were faster. He adjusted his breathing shortly, retracted his punches, accumulated his strength, and punched out brazenly. Boom. The 2 fists, one big and one small, collided, like two fired cannonballs colliding together, making an extremely dull sound, and the surrounding air was shaken out of layers of ripples, which spread in all directions. Crack. The ground under Lei Luo's feet was cracked like a spider's web. Jack the Drow took advantage of the volume, punched from top to bottom, and the strong pressure made Lei Luo's feet directly into the ground. As soon as the two fists touched, Lei Luo's face changed slightly. There was a faint pain in the face of his right fist, as if a force had been punched into his fist, causing damage from the inside out. Emission. Unexpectedly, Jack the Drow also mastered emission. Even in Wano Kuni, there are very few people who can master emission haki. Have you seen it? This is Captain Jack's true strength, the real Armament Haki. Long live Captain Jack. Seeing that Jack had the upper hand, the crew behind him cheered. This is their invincible Captain Jack. Ha ha ha, isn't your Armament Haki very strong? Why, can't take it anymore. Jack the Drow was also laughing loudly, and the contempt in his words was undisguised. Advertisement. However, in the next second, Jack's laughter stopped abruptly, and the expression on his face froze. With a flick of Lei Luo's arm, he easily dispelled the force that had been punched into his body. How can it be? Jack's eyes widened suddenly, and his words were full of disbelief. In the half-orc form, emission haki, which has condensed 50% of its strength, was resolved like this. Is this impossible? Lei Luo looked at Jack's unbelievable expression, and said with a faint smile, this is your Armament Haki. Is it only this level? Try this. Lei Luo clenched his fist violently, the muscles on his right arm suddenly tightened, and the muscles trembled, shaking the surrounding air with an explosion sound. The Armament Haki that covered the whole body faded away at an extremely fast speed, and all of it was condensed on the right arm, and the arm blackening was completed in an instant. Armament Haki continued to flow on the right arm, and the black color was particularly deep. Damn, could this guy also be emission? Feeling the powerful force flowing from Lei Luo's arm, Jack the Drow trembled for a while, but he calmed down soon. With a flick of his right arm, the dark and deep Armament Haki leapt onto it and flowed. Emission Haki is the power that originated from Wano Kuni. As the general manager of Wano Kuni Julie District, he has been immersed in emission haki for many years and has no reason to lose. Lie down like this, Lei Luo. Jack the Drow roared, his pitch-black fist dropped rapidly, perhaps because the speed of the punch was too fast, sparks were faintly dancing in the air. Almost at the same time, Lei Luo's fist was packed with an incomparable domineering force, and it struck like lightning. Boom. Before the fists of the two touched each other, there was a violent explosion sound. Before the fists touched, the energy they generated collided with each other first, and the air waves spread in all directions. There was a hurricane, and the dust was flying. Clang. The sound of gold and iron clashing followed, and the surrounding space was distorted. It was not two fists colliding, but two big hammers colliding. A flash of shock visible to the naked eye flashed in Jack the Drow's eyes. Advertisement. Damn it, how could, it's impossible. The moment the two fists collided, Jack the Drow could clearly feel that the Armament Haki condensed on his fist was being dissipated, and at the same time, a hot force was constantly seeping in, like 1,000 caddies of hot oil soaking into the blood inside, it is constantly destroying his body from the inside out. This guy's emission haki, how can it be so strong? In just a few breaths, Jack the Drow felt that his arm was in pain, as if it was about to explode. Little did they know, Lei Luo was also secretly shocked at this time. Previously on Banaro Island, he used emission to smash Aokiji's huge ice puck, while the equally powerful emission haki couldn't break Jack the Drow's defense. This does not mean that Jack the Drow is stronger than Aokiji, it can only be said that he has a higher attainment in Armament Haki after staying in Wano Kuni all the year round. This further proves his previous conjecture. When meeting someone who is also good at Armament Haki, the power of his Armament Haki will be greatly reduced. However, the Jack the Drow in front of him obviously hasn't reached the point where he can't suppress it. Lei Luo let out a long breath, retracted his arms slightly, and completed the second charge at the same time. Before Jack the Drow could react, the more powerful emission haki had already surged out. Boom. Just for a moment, Jack the Drow could no longer suppress the force pouring into his body, his pitch-black right arm exploded into a puddle of minced flesh, and his bones and flesh instantly turned into a cloud of blood mist. The incomparably tyrannical vigor soared into the sky, and Jack's nearly 10-meter-high body was instantly lifted off, as if it had turned into a huge cannonball and fell towards the sea at an extremely fast speed. Goo. There was a sound of swallowing saliva on the coastline, and the crew of the mammoth were completely stunned. You look at me, I look at you, and you can't believe that the scene you just saw is real. Jack the Drow, one of the big signboards in Beast's Pirates, was blown out twice by the same person, and this time he was blown off an arm. How is this possible? The feeling that the invincible Captain Jack would lose is, like a dream. Chapter 48. Doflamingo's Extreme Shock. Advertisement. Boom. Jack the Drow slammed into the sea heavily, and the waves were more than 10 feet high. The ground and the sea trembled. At the same time, Jack's huge body gradually retracted, and the half-orc form of the mammoth fruit was forcibly released. Captain Jack. The crew of the mammoth rushed to catch up with shouts, even the invincible Captain Jack lost, so run quickly, or you will surely die. Several crew members came to Jack. In their eyes, the invincible Captain Jack was already on the verge of dying, and he was still awake. It has to be said that the physical fitness and recovery ability of Zone Demon Fruit power are really strong. Even if one arm was blown off, he didn't faint from the pain. How can it be? Jack the Dro's eyes were protruding fiercely, as if they would fall out at any time, and his face was as white as paper due to his arm being blown off due to blood loss. The entire right arm was gone, and there were bursts of severe pain from the bloody wound on the shoulder, but compared to the severe pain in the body, the shock and fear in his heart made him feel more trembling. The same emission haki, the moment he collided with Lei Luo, his emission haki was completely suppressed, washed away and eliminated. That guy's emission haki is everywhere. With an extremely hot temperature, the muscles, bones, and meridians in his arms were completely destroyed in the blink of an eye. At that moment, he didn't feel any pain at all, only numbness without consciousness. Until the entire arm is completely destroyed. The only thing that can defend against that guy's emission haki is Governor Kaido's dragon scale. Several crew members rushed to Jack's side, lifted his huge and heavy body with great difficulty, and brought him back to the mammoth not far away. Boss, just let them go like this. The ghost agent asked in confusion. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth curved into a playful arc, but he didn't speak. Jack the Dro stared at Lei Luo with extremely sinister eyes, but he didn't dare to say another word, until he got on the boat and the mammoth set sail. Lei Luo. Don't be too happy. Don't think that your strength is invincible, there are a lot of people stronger than you in this world. I'm just the pioneer of Governor Kaido. If you offend Governor Kaido, even Whitebeard can't keep you. Just wait, the next time we meet, it's your death date. Sure, Jack, you are looking for death. The ghost agent next to Lei Luo cursed, took off the hammer and crutches around his waist, and was about to rush up to do a big fight. Advertisement. This Jack the Dro is so interesting. The boss has already let him go, but he still shows off his tongue, with a stinky mouth beeping endlessly. Lei Luo grabbed Ah Jin and stuffed his fingers into his mouth. Duke. A sharp whistle sounded, and thousands of waves suddenly set off on the sea. Roar. A muffled and thick tiger roar followed, and a bloody maw with upside-down fangs gushed out from the sea. Jack the Dro, who was still stubborn the last second, was instantly persuaded. Sea Kings. Jack recognized it immediately. This guy was the giant tiger-headed Sea Kings that Lei Luo wrote in the newspaper. In his current state, it is difficult to breathe, let alone deal with Sea Kings who can easily destroy a fleet. Moreover, the sea is the home ground of the Sea Kings, and the demon fruit power, which is nearly exhausted, falls into the territorial waters of the Sea Kings, and the consequences can be imagined. Fire. Kill this B****************. D. Jack the Dro's mind went blank. At this moment, he could only hope for the powerful firepower of the mammoth. However, all this happened so quickly that the gunner had no time to reload. Kacha. The bloody mouth opened and closed, and the nostrils were suffocating. The tens of tons of terrifying bite force instantly shattered the hull of the mammoth, which was specially reinforced and could easily withstand the bombardment of special shells. Help. Ah. While the sea wolf was churning, the crew of the mammoth cried out for help, but no one could save them. If you're lucky, you can still scream twice, but if you're unlucky, it's already shattered along with the hull of the mammoth. A large area of scarlet sea water floated on the surface of the sea, but it was quickly washed away by the flowing sea water. Jack the Dro is completely surrounded by seawater. Even though he is his own ancient demon fruit power, his physical strength and resistance to seawater are far superior to Common's demon fruit power. But even when he was seriously injured and his physical strength was almost exhausted, he couldn't resist at all. I can only let the increasingly violent seawater forcefully crush my body, gradually lose consciousness, and sink into the deep sea. Goo. Advertisement. A Jin, the ghost man on the bank, swallowed unconsciously, and looked at Lei Luo with a look of admiration and fear. Now he knows why the boss didn't let him chase Jack the Dro. Boss, so you have already prepared. The corners of Lei Luo's mouth twitched this slight arc. Come to my place and want to leave after screaming. Hey, where is such a cheap thing? Tiger Head Sea King suddenly put his head in front of Lei Luo, the huge tiger head rubbed against Lei Luo's feet. No, this guy's head is too big, it's just hitting the ground. Lei Luo was speechless for a while. This is not a ferocious Sea Kings, it is clearly a house cat seeking pets. Okay, I know you have done meritorious service, you did a good job this time, let's go back. Lei Luo reached out and rubbed the huge tiger's head twice, and retreated it into the sea. Seeing this scene, Ajin and Rudolph were stunned for a while. I'm afraid only a fierce man like the boss can keep such a fierce pet. Long live Lord Lei Luo. Master Lei Luo is invincible. Long live the great hero who saved Dressrosa. At this time, bursts of cheers burst out from the distant city wall, and the people of Dressrosa, who had witnessed Lei Luo defeating Jack the Dro, were cheering for their savior. That Master Lei Luo who convinced the terrifying Sea Kings and turned into a house cat is like a god, making people feel at ease. The news spread quickly throughout Dressrosa like catkins blown by the wind. Hanging on the high wall of the palace, Doflamingo's face was so heavy that water dripped out, his breathing was unbearable, and the unbelievable look in his eyes gushed out uncontrollably. Lei Luo defeated Jack the Dro. How is this possible? That is one of the 3 disasters of the beast's pirates, Jack the Dro, who has never left a drop of water in his path. The big pirate who put out $1 billion bounty on his own strength. Is this guy so strong that even Jack the Dro can't do anything? Doflamingo gasped for breath, but he soon regained that stinging, mad look. Seizing the man-made devil fruit factory is slapping Kaido in the face, slapping Jack the Dro is slapping Kaido of the beasts in the face. Lei Luo, you are really going farther and farther on the road to death. Quote. Once the strongest creature in the world, Kaido, comes, hee, wait for death, Lei Luo. Not even Whitebeard can keep you. Chapter 49. Armed Dragon Spine, the terrifying radiation similar to pure gold. Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Advertisement. When Lei Luo returned to the palace, the people of Dressrosa cheered outside, and the shouts of, "Long live," continued for a long time. Call out the system interface, a line of text that only he can see pops up immediately. Congratulations to host for completing the task, defeating Jack the Drow who came to collect the man-made devil fruit, and getting the task reward, attribute point plus 30. Then comes his row of attribute data. Name: Lei Luo. Age: 24 years old. Strength: Admiral Early. Armament Haki level: Absolute defense 241 thousandths. Progress to 501 thousandths can be upgraded to Admiral Medium. Keep working hard. Attribute point balance: 30. Gain buff: none. Tasks: none. Lei Luo's heart moved, and he used all the 30 freshly released attribute points. The Armament Haki level column flickered for a while, and the progress bar increased again, becoming 271 thousandths. Almost at the same time, the fiery heat that seemed familiar spread through the bones, extending along the shoulder blades to the cervical vertebrae, and then extending from the cervical vertebrae all the way down to the spine. It seems that the bones that have been armed and blackened this time are the spine and cervical spine. The blazing heat lasted for several minutes, and suddenly stopped when it extended to the position close to the tailbone. The heat dissipated immediately, but Lei Luo's mind was clear. The spine and cervical spine have been armed and blackened, but it is not only the bones that can be strengthened, probably because the cervical spine and the spine are the parts with the densest distribution of nerve tissue. Lei Luo can clearly feel his own reaction speed and body coordination all enhanced a lot. Advertisement. No wonder, Armament Haki becomes more and more difficult the further you practice, and the more top-notch Armament Haki masters, the more invincible they are. Every upgrade is a qualitative leap. Lei Luo took off his clothes and looked in the mirror. Good guy. The spine hidden under the flesh and blood in the center of his back was faintly black, like a black dragon lying on his back, twisting his back as he did. This black dragon seemed to come alive, stretching its claws and stretching its body. Letting out a long breath, Lei Luo's back muscles exerted force, driving his spine. Boom. There was an extremely subtle dragon cry faintly in the body, a wave of heat surged from the spine, and quickly spread to all parts of the body. The sense of strength in the limbs seemed to overflow. Is this the so-called open dragon spine? If I remember correctly, there is indeed a saying in China's ancient martial arts that opening the dragon spine can enhance body coordination and make people stronger. Lei Luo was satisfied for a while, and couldn't help looking forward to the moment when the whole body's bones were completely armed and blackened. Blue, blue, blue. As soon as Lei Luo got dressed, the phone bug suddenly yelled, and seeing that it was his beautiful assistant Karina, he connected directly. It's me, what's wrong? On the other end of the phone, Karina's anxious voice came. Boss, where are you? Come back and check, something has happened. Hearing Karina's eager voice, Lei Luo frowned. The reason why he handed over the White Paper Flower Business Association to Karina was precisely because this girl has an absolutely strong psychological quality and can keep calm and rational at all times. It was the first time Lei Luo saw Karina who was flustered and eager to cut like this. Don't be in a hurry, talk about it. Karina on the other end of the phone obviously paused, as if she was breathing a sigh of relief. After a while, her voice changed back to her usual orderly look. Do you still remember the pure gold-like metals research by the Ministry of Science? Just now, an accident happened to the brother in charge of guarding pure gold. In a team of 10 people, 6 suddenly died suddenly, 3 bled to death quickly from 7 orifices, and the remaining 1 turned into a crazy monster. The monster has been killed by Floy, but Floy has detected upgraded cells from the monster, which is caused by the radioactive magnetic field released by quasi-pure gold. Advertisement. Radioactive magnetic fields. Lei Luo's complexion couldn't help but change. If I remember correctly, the pure gold mentioned in Pirate's Golden Heart is a man-made rare metal that can release a special radioactive magnetic field to achieve the purpose of eternal youth. From this point of view, Floyd's research direction is correct, but the radiation effect of quasi-pure gold is still in an uncontrollable stage. On the other end of the phone, Karina's words continued. After Floyd's identification, the radioactivity similar to pure gold can cover a range of 10 meters from Fang Yuan, and ordinary metals, walls, etc. can't stop the radiation effect at all. Although Floyd created a special biological solution that temporarily blocked the radiation, this block lasted for up to 48 hours. Boss, you have to come back and take a look. It's up to you to decide whether to keep this thing or not. Lei Luo took a deep breath. I see, you seal up the things first. Brothers who died and were injured because of this incident will immediately pay their families compensation according to the prescribed standards. By the way, where is the new headquarters? Nessus, the island of entertainment within the territorial waters of the Whitebeard pirates. Karina's cheeks on the other end of the phone bug puffed up slightly, a little annoyed. This big pig's hooves are too comfortable to be a shopkeeper. He even forgot the location of the new headquarters of his own headquarters. Speaking of which, did I tell him where the new headquarters is located? Never mind, it's his fault anyway. HMPH. Understood, I will rush back within 48 hours. Lei Luo promised, and then ordered. By the way, Doflamingo is over, his underground black market, and various connections in the underground world, you arrange manpower to receive it. By the way, release the news that the artificial devil fruit smile is for sale, and the trading items are only gold. Yes. Karina's mouth curled into a nice curve. Chapter 51. Armed color benchmark, Garp the Fist's Iron Fist. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. 2 hours later, Palazzo de Rosa. Akin, Rudolph, the man-made devil fruit factory will be handed over to you first. I must go back to the headquarters immediately. Lei Luo ordered that the radiation shielding time of quasi-pure gold is only 48 hours, and he must rush back immediately. Don't worry, boss, with us knocking on the door and guarding here, not a single mosquito will fly in. Ajin and Rudolph assured, patting their chests. Lei Luo nodded. Ah Jin, who turned into a ghost, has extremely powerful melee capabilities, while Rudolph specializes in restraining demon fruit power. The two can easily play the effect of 1+1 greater than 3 inches when they cooperate with each other, so they will become Lei Luo's double ghosts. The man-made devil fruit factory is the key to his collection of a large amount of gold in a short period of time, and he can only feel at ease if he is handed over to Akin and Rudolph to manage it. However, before Lei Luo could leave, the system interface suddenly popped up, and 2 lines of task prompts came into view. Mission tips. If you are the king and reach the top, defeat Garp the Fist, the world-recognized strongest Armament Haki owner, and the mission reward, Armament Skill Mountain-Piercing Iron Fist. This mission is a long-term mission. Mission reminder. Enemies are extremely jealous when they meet each other. Teach Aokiji who invaded Dressrosa a profound lesson. Mission reward. Attribute points +40. Lei Luo, who was about to leave, froze and defeated Garp the Fist. Long-term assignment. Aokiji to offend Dressrosa. What's the matter, boss? Akin asked. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth twitched slightly. It seems that I can't leave for the time being. Ajin and Rudolph, let's go and meet old friends when we go out. Old friend. Ajin and Rudolph looked at each other. Their gazes were full of doubts and inquiries. However, the doubts were doubts, and the two walked behind Lei Luo without hesitation. Regardless of doubts or not, whether you understand or not, you must absolutely follow the orders of boss Lei Luo. This has almost become the biological instinct of the two of them. Advertisement. Almost at the same time, a voice of cursing and fighting resounded throughout Dressrosa. White paper flower Lei Luo. Marine has arrived. Get out and plead guilty. The voice was full of vigor, but there was a hint of old age. Wherever the voice passed, the air trembled violently, and ripples appeared in layers. Lei Luo frowned suddenly. Isn't it Aokiji? This old voice, could it be? Lei Luo suddenly thought of a person. He came directly to the open space of the palace, stomped his feet, jumped into the air, and ran towards the coastal pier where the sound came from. Ajin and Rudolph looked at each other, and immediately chased after them at full speed. Lei Luo's figure drew a perfect parabola in midair, jumped directly from the center of the kingdom, spanned half of Dressrosa, and landed towards the coastal pier. Before landing on the ground, a figure zoomed in quickly in the field of vision. It was a figure nearly 3 meters tall, with a broad chest, muscular development, gray hair, and a scar on the left eye. Wearing Marine's Justice cloak, the epaulets on his shoulders are black and red. Sure enough, this old guy personally ended the Marine hero of the Roger era, the rank of Vice Admiral, but his strength has already surpassed Admiral's Garp the Fist. And on the seashore below, there is another figure, wearing a white suit, wearing a Justice Marine cloak, the epaulets on the shoulders are dazzling gold, and the fluffy curly hair is naturally drooping. It is Aokiji. Aokiji and Garp together. Lei Luo's expression froze. It's hard to handle now. At the same time, Garp, who was quickly lifted into the sky by moonwalk, also came to Lei Luo. You are Lei Luo, right? What's wrong with being young? Do you have to be a pirate? The old man sees that you have a good background. Go back to be a marine with the old man. With a flick of Lei Luo's arm, the dark and deep Armament Haki instantly covered his right arm, and at the same time his back shook. Boom. Advertisement. The subtle sound of the dragon's chant sounded, and the heat spread from the spine to the whole body quickly, and every cell in the whole body was spewing energy. Facing Garp the Fist, the benchmark of Armament Haki's combat power, Lei Luo dare not keep it at all. The sound of the bone-spreading dragon's chant. Good boy, have you already driven dragons back? Ha 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 ha. That's amazing. You're only 24 years old, right? This old man was already 48 when he opened dragon's back. No, I must take you back. Opened the dragon's spine at the age of 24, this kid is definitely a genius, no, a monster. Garp said jokingly, with a relaxed expression on his face, the shock surging in his eyes was well hidden by him. Lei Luo's face was ashen. Unexpectedly, he was completely seen through by Garp in just one meeting. This old guy is worthy of being a benchmark-level figure in Armament Haki's practice. Garp saw that Lei Luo didn't speak for a long time, so he asked himself, are you dumb? Hey, old man, I'm asking you something. What a rude brat. The moment the voice fell, Garp's right arm was covered with a layer of ultimate lacquer black. The color was so deep that it seemed to be able to swallow the light. Just by looking at the color, you can tell that the old man's Armament Haki has been tempered to ultimate. However, even after releasing such an ultimate Armament Haki, Garp still doesn't have a trace of tyrannical aura leaking from him, and he still looks like an easygoing little old man in the mountains. This is enough to show that his control over his own aura has also reached a terrifying level of ease and consummate proficiency. Since you don't speak, let's use your fists to communicate. Look at the fists. Chapter 52. Ultimate Armed Color Match. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. At the same time, the underground black market centered on Dressrosa is undergoing a silent revolution. With the defeat of Don Quixote Doflamingo, the world-renowned black market broker Joker also disappeared. Everyone in the know knows that Joker is Doflamingo. But just half an hour ago, the originally paralyzed underground black market in Dressrosa suddenly became active. In just half an hour, the underground black market network that once belonged to Doflamingo was completely controlled by a broker code named the Wizard of Oz. Moreover, a piece of news that shocked the entire underground black market has spread to the black market around the world over time. The man-made devil fruit smile is sold all over the world. The price is 10 high-purity standard weight gold bars with a purity of 99.99% or more and 116.64 grams. The sale starts from 3 pieces, and the first sale quantity is 300 pieces, and it is indicated that gold is the only exchange item. The spread of this news undoubtedly dropped a heavy bomb in the underground world. Anyone who is familiar with the underground black market knows that artificial devil fruit smile is a technology mastered by Doflamingo. Therefore, the spread of this news also means that Doflamingo's power in the black and white worlds has completely collapsed. The queen of the pleasure district Stussy and the funeral tycoon Della Pacolo and other bigwigs in the underground world of the Grand Line released countless intelligence spies, but they couldn't find any information about the Wizard of Oz. In Dressrosa's man-made devil fruit factory, the little human princess, Manchueli, who has the ability to heal fruit, let out a long breath. Oh. That sister Karina is really embarrassing. Half an hour ago, Mrs. Lei Luo's subordinate Karina's sister somehow found her contact information and asked her to control the underground black market centered on Dressrosa. God, this kind of thing is not suitable for a girl like her. However, Sister Karina said that doing so can help Lord Lei Luo, and if it helps Lord Lei Luo, the Dongtata clan will also get better treatment. Since this is the case, her publicism is undeniable, and it seems interesting to control a world that does not exist. Maybe she was born to do this, although she was a little bit resistant at first, but it was very handy and a little exciting. On the other side of the ruins of the coastal pier, Garp's fist did not make a sound of breaking the wind, it felt like a soft punch. However, it was this soft punch that instantly made Lei Luo vigilant, and the silent iron fist gave people a sense of silent oppression. What's more, as a physical master who specializes in armament haki, Lei Luo can clearly feel that Garp's fist has locked him tightly, as if he is being targeted by Lion Majesty who is about to launch a fatal attack at any time. Advertisement. The air mechanism is locked, can't I dodge it? It's exactly what I want. Lei Luo's expression froze. He and Armament Haki, a benchmark figure in the training, Garp the Fist is not often a chance to fight. Boom. Lei Luo clenched his fist violently, and the Armament Haki all over his body poured into the most powerful right arm. Just by clenching his fist, the air vibrated into a violent sonic boom like rolling thunder. Withdraw your arms to accumulate strength, your fists are like lightning, and the sound of your fists is like thunder. Boom. Facing Garp's fist, Lei Luo punched fiercely. Before the two pitch-black iron fists could touch each other, they collided with each other first, and the sound was like thunder. Oh, Garp's face was full of splendor. What a boy. Facing the lock of chi mechanism of this old man, how dare you still have the courage to punch? Think back to when training the brat Aokiji, the same silent air machine lock scared the kid so much that he didn't even have the courage to resist. Astonishing talent like his son Monkey D. Dorag, also failed to resist this Lion Majesty-like lock. No wonder this kid can be Edward Newgate's deputy captain. Not bad. It's a pity to be a pirate. The huge fist, which was as black as ink, smashed down like a thunderbolt. Clang. After a brief thunderous sound, the two iron fists collided instantly, and the incomparably clear sound of metal and iron clashing resounded through the sky. Like the kind of thunder that exploded in the clear sky, first there was that light humming, followed by that kind of explosive roar, as if the sky had been completely blasted. The figures of Lei Luo and Garp fell down at the same time. After a punch, Garp finally showed a solemn look on his face. The strength of this brat is far from being as simple as he saw. Not only has he opened the dragon's spine, he has even begun to temper his bones. Advertisement. Damn it, how did such a good seedling become a pirate? Lei Luo also felt a shock in his heart. As this Garp's Armament Haki, it's so powerful, it's bottomless. It's just a punch with Garp, and the blood flow in his body is obviously not so smooth. This old guy obviously used emission Haki to infiltrate into his body. Although it didn't cause any substantial damage to him, it subtly affected his blood circulation. Armament Haki is the power derived from tempering chi and blood to ultimate. If the flow of chi and blood is affected, it will directly affect the strength of Armament Haki. What a superb skill. Boom. In just a few breaths, the two of them hit the ground heavily at the same time, and the ground trembled violently, and the seawater not far away was also stirred up by the violent impact, as if a short-lived earthquake had just occurred. Lei Luo got up quickly, protected by absolute defense. This level of impact could not bring any harm to his body at all. It was also at this time that a burst of icy cold air swept over at an extremely fast speed. The moment Lei Luo got up, Aokiji who was not far away suddenly shot violently, and the turbulent cold air enveloped him like endless waves, instantly turning him into a lifelike ice sculpture. Aokiji heaved a sigh of relief, the corner of his mouth curled into a slight arc. Soldiers are tricky, sneak attack is not shameful. He didn't gain nothing from the last failure. The cold air poured out like endless waves to freeze the target faster. This is what he realized from the last failure experience. However, before Aokiji continued to increase the output of cold air, a slender crack burst out on the extremely cold solid ice with a click. In the next second, the solid ice shattered. Chapter 53. Aokiji shocked again. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. The moment the ice was broken, Lei Luo breathed out a breath of white air, swung his arm, the flow of chi and blood returned to its peak, retracted his arm, accumulated strength, and punched out brazenly. Roll. The fist was like lightning, the sound was like thunder, and the powerful air wave that was set off in an instant smashed on Aokiji's body with extremely fast momentum. Aokiji's face changed instantly, and his body was directly blasted into a puddle of broken ice. How come? Aokiji's eyes widened in disbelief. Didn't Vice Admiral Garp's iron fist hurt him? How can there be such a powerful and swift offensive? He was brought into the army by Garp and cultivated. He knows how powerful Mr. Garp is, and it is no problem for one to beat him in two. But this Lei Luo can still launch such an offensive after receiving a punch from Vice Admiral Garp. In just over a month, this guy has become a lot stronger. Aokiji is sure that Lei Luo from more than a month ago would never be able to do such a thing. Two thorny spears of ice. Although I was shocked in my heart, Aokiji's body was driven by the strong fighting consciousness trained in hundreds of battles. Lei Luo is very strong, and he will change sooner or later. We must take him down as quickly as possible. 2 arms thick ice thorns pierced Lei Luo's eyes in an instant, but at this moment, the 2 cold ice spears suddenly disappeared. It didn't melt or break, it just disappeared inexplicably, as if it had never appeared before. Aokiji was taken aback. There was a smile on the corner of Lei Luo's mouth. Raising soldiers for 1,000 days and using them for a short time, the door-knocking ghosts came at the right time. Now, no one interfered with him and Garp had a good time fighting. In the next moment, a cold bloodthirsty killing intent surged from the city wall and directly attacked Aokiji. Buzz. 2 muffled sounds of breaking wind followed closely, and Aokiji's expression froze. It was a pair of hammer crutches, with 2 huge iron balls dotted behind the gleaming iron crutches. Advertisement. Ice. Aokiji was stunned for a moment, cold sweat dripped from the tip of his nose instantly. How come? The power of frozen fruit has failed. This feeling is very strange. I can clearly feel the power of frozen fruit in my body, but I just can't use it. Ability users rely most on the ability of devil fruit, and suddenly they can't use the ability, not to mention him Aokiji, even the Buddha Sengoku has to panic. However, after all, Aokiji is a marine admiral who has experienced many battles, and his own Haki cultivation base is not low, and he quickly recovered. Armament Haki covered his arms and opened his posture to resist, but in the next second, Aokiji's expression froze suddenly, as if he was frozen. In the blink of an eye, a sharp dagger protruded from the back of his neck, and slammed past him. Armament Haki surged all over Aokiji's body, and his neck became pitch black, blocking the sharp dagger while turning around and punching backwards. However, this punch hit the empty space, and Aokiji's pupils shrank. Why, what kind of monster is this guy? What came into view was a translucent figure, middle-aged appearance, wearing jeans and pants, and the deep dark circles under the eyes made people remember him at a glance. At this time, Aokiji's hand was passing through his chest, but the touch felt like hitting the air. This guy was like a ghost in a ghost story, unable to be hit by physical attacks. A ghost. A person with abilities. The ghost man agent who turned into a ghost twitched a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Hollow. Spirit body transformation. This is one of the abilities brought to him by the evil ghost fruit of the phantom beast. The sound of breaking wind in his ears suddenly sounded, heavy and fast, and Aokiji suddenly realized, damn it, he was completely distracted by this guy just now. Clang. The moment Aokiji turned his head, the pair of sledgehammers came towards him, hitting his face impartially, and his brain buzzed. For an ordinary person, this violent smash would definitely kill him, but this level of smash could not break his defense. Aokiji's brain is running fast, and his years of combat experience have allowed his thinking speed to reach ultimate. Devil Fruit's ability is limited, but his body does not feel fatigued, which is obviously not something like Seastone. Advertisement. If it is not Seastone, then there is only one possibility, it is a person with abilities. There is another ability user around here who can limit the ability of others' Devil Fruit. An invisible wave spread, and Aokiji's observation Haki turned to ultimate. Sure enough, there was a person hiding in the ruins not far away. Shave. Aokiji stomped on the ground in quick succession, with a sudden strong thrust, his figure disappeared as if teleported, and he rushed directly into the ruins. A figure with stubble all over his face and eyes covered with a fine mesh eye mask came into view. It was one of Lei Luo's 2 knocking ghosts, Paramesh's ability to imprison fruit ghost-eyed Rudolph. Locked by Rudolph's gaze, the connection between the ability user and Devil Fruit's ability will be temporarily cut off. Aokiji wrapped Armament Haki's fist and slammed it out. After solving this guy, Devil Fruit's ability should be restored. Just at this time, the cold and bloodthirsty breath came again and approached him at a very fast speed. Aokiji had to turn back to deal with the attack behind him. Turning around, Aokiji was taken aback again. That ghostly guy had already turned into a real body. Judging from the cold aura surging all over his body, he was at least at the level of the top vice admiral in naval headquarters, and he was not far from the quasi-admiral. There is only a thin line. Let your body freely switch between virtual and real. Virtual is immune to all physical attacks, and the resistance to fire, lightning and other natural element attacks is also greatly improved. In fact, it has an extremely powerful physical body, and it can heal quickly even if it is stabbed through the chest. This is the power of evil spirits. Aokiji's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick, and Armament Haki's arms were crossed into an X to block. But at this time, there was another sharp sound of breaking wind from behind, and the sharp knife in Rudolph's hand was only a short distance away from Aokiji's back. Kuzan! Garp yelled, his legs burst out with explosive strength, and he was about to go to support. However, a black shadow that was as fast as lightning flashed in front of him with a swish, and a dark and deep fist came towards him. A sneer curled up on the corner of Lei Luo's mouth. Vice Admiral Garp, it's not good to be distracted during battle. Chapter 54. Mountains Roar and Tsunami, the terrifying aftermath of the battle. Ask for evaluation tickets and flowers. Advertisement. Lei Luo's fist was as fast as lightning, and it hit Garp in the blink of an eye. Hole. Garp cursed secretly, swung his iron fist, and with a dull and powerful sound of breaking the wind, he punched Lei Luo's fist away. However, Lei Luo's fists came at a faster speed, one punch after another, the waves of punches one after another, like a violent storm, without stopping for a moment. Clang clang. Iron fists collided, and the sound of gold and iron clashing was endless. The aftermath of the collision of the two fists turned into layers of air waves, which continued to spread in all directions. For a moment, the ground trembled violently, and the sea water hit the air for tens of feet, just like a tsunami descending. On the dog-headed warship a few nautical miles away, Kebi and Belumbo stood at the bow of the ship, looking at the sea with mountains and tsunami in the distance, feeling terrified. Put away your inexperienced looks, it's just caused by Vice Admiral Garp's prestige in fighting people. As a Marine, you must always pay attention to your appearance and posture, don't embarrass Vice Admiral Garp. Garp's adjutant, Bogart, who followed Garp to hunt down Roger, scolded coldly. Yes, the two stood at attention at the same time, but the shock in their hearts surged like a stormy sea. How is this possible? The sea water hits the air for tens of feet, and even the coastline is trembling. This situation of mountains and tsunami was actually caused by Vice Admiral Garp fighting with people. Besides, this is just the aftermath of the battle. How intense is the collision at the core of the battle? Kebi and Belumbo looked at each other, and they both saw deep shock and horror in each other's eyes. This kind of thing, even if you see it with your own eyes, is unbelievable. They have been on the Garp ship for a long time, and they have seen a lot of things with Mr. Garp, but they have never seen such a big one. Advertisement. Clang clang. On the coastal pier, both Lei Luo and Garp were out of breath after a violent frontal fight. Looking at Lei Luo's fighting-like eyes, Garp was even more shocked. This brat is not as simple as it looks on the surface. The fist is fast and heavy, and every punch can strike thunderous power. What's even worse is that this brat actually fights harder and harder, as if his physical strength hasn't been exhausted. If you want to take him down, this level of fighting is useless, you must use more powerful moves, it's just. Garp glanced at the city of Dressrosa not far away. It is not that he has no more powerful moves, on the contrary, he has many, but if it affects the city or the civilians, the consequences will be disastrous. He guards the marine of the common people, not a pirate who does not care about the life and death of the common people. For a while, Garp was in a dilemma. As everyone knows, Lei Luo is also thinking about similar issues at this time. Vice Admiral Garp, the name of Iron Fist is well deserved. Even the right arm that has been completely armed and blackened is still trembling during the punching process. This guy's fists are getting stronger and stronger with age, and the blackening of his armed forces has penetrated into his bones. If it continues so painlessly, there will be no results after 3 days and 3 nights. What's more, Lei Luo doesn't have so much time to waste now. The pure gold at the headquarters of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce is waiting for him to go back to deal with, and Dressrosa also has his artificial devil fruit factory. Once it is destroyed by the aftermath of the battle, it will be worth the candle. On the other hand, the battle between Aokiji and the slapping ghosts is also in full swing, and Aokiji, who cannot use the devil fruit ability, is completely suppressed by the slapping ghosts. Although he didn't suffer any substantial damage, he was still entangled by the two ghosts and couldn't escape. After all, aside from devil fruit's ability, his physical skills and haki are only at the level of the top vice admiral. Lei Luo and Garp confronted briefly, and Lei Luo spoke first. Old man, I can see that you are worried about affecting civilians, and you have been restrained all the time. It's not fun to fight like this. Advertisement. It's better to find a place where no one is around, and have a good fight. Garp was obviously moved, but there was a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Are you worried about civilians? I think you regard Dressrosa as your own. However, this is also good. There is an uninhabited island to the southeast, I will wait for you there, old man. Going to fight in a place far away from Dressrosa can avoid affecting civilians and cities, and minimize the negative impact. Garp will not refuse this kind of request no matter what. Plop. Garp jumped into the sea directly, and Lei Luo jumped into the sea to follow without hesitation. Now he can use his full strength. Seeing Lei Luo jumping into the sea, Aokiji subconsciously wanted to stop him. Grandpa Garp is really, can you believe what the pirates say? This guy ran away like this last time. However, just as Aokiji took a step, the Ghostakin's hammer fell in front of his eyes. Damn it! Aokiji quickly dodged with a low body, and the huge iron ball swept over his scalp. Predicting the opponent's offensive trajectory through observation haki can achieve a perfect dodge, but it is also ineffective, and is completely dragged to death by these two guys. The ghost agent danced the hammer covered in armament haki like a fast rotating windmill, bringing a burst of oppressive and dull wind breaking. Aokiji Admiral, your opponent is us. Don't bother the boss's yaxing. Chapter 55. Garp and Lei Luo's ultimate armed color showdown. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. 10 minutes later, the uninhabited island in the southeast of Dressrosa was covered by dense vegetation, and there were constant hissing and roaring sounds of ferocious birds and beasts on the island. This used to be the royal hunting ground of Dressrosa. No, to be precise, it was the royal hunting ground of the King Riku family. In the 8 years since Doflamingo stole the country, the island has been unmanaged, the vegetation has become more dense, and the ferocious animals have become more ferocious, and finally became a deserted island that no one dared to approach. Boom. Suddenly, the sea surface not far from the deserted island suddenly became turbulent, the sea surface cracked, waves were set off layer upon layer, and two dark figures stepped on the waves. They were Lei Luo and Garp. It turned out that these two people fought in the water without waiting until they reached the deserted island. Boom. The two figures landed on the shore in unison, and the island shook violently. Roar. There were beast roars one after another from the island, and there was a crowd, but not a single ferocious beast dared to stand out. Animals have a stronger ability to perceive danger than humans, and they are all aware of it. Two terrific and ruthless characters have come to the island. Garp clenched his fists, his whole body trembled, and an invisible energy spread out, directly forcing the seawater out of his body. Hey, this place is great. Then what are you waiting for? Lei Luo stomped his foot on the ground, and the blood flow in his body accelerated instantly. Just stomping, the armament haki in the body has reached ultimate. The dark and deep armament haki covers the body like a close-fitting jet black armor, and the blackened color of the right arm is particularly deep. Swing your arms to charge, bang. Immediately there was a thunderous sonic boom, and at the same time, the muscles on both legs burst out with explosive power. In the blink of an eye, he rushed in front of Garp, and the straight fist that was as fast as lightning blatantly blasted out. Shave. At the moment when the power of the fist exploded, Garp stomped on the ground continuously at an extremely fast speed, and teleported his figure with the help of a strong reverse thrust, forcing Lei Luo to punch in the air. Advertisement. Boom. The air oscillates, and the sound is like rolling thunder in dry weather. The strong air waves are like a horizontal tornado, sweeping towards the forest on the island with unparalleled domineering power. Are crooked, are oblique, are uprooted, a mess. The ferocious birds and beasts that were originally hiding in the center of the forest were trembling and palpitating. It was dangerous. It would be dangerous to continue to stay here. The strong sense of crisis drives them to cry and flee to the other end of the island. The ferocious birds flutter their wings, and the beasts run away in all directions. Only by staying away from the source of danger can they feel a little sense of security. The momentum gradually subsided, and there was a passage running through the entire island out of thin air. The passage was as wide as if it had been crushed by 10 tanks lined up all the way. Boy, your fists are strong, but your lack of technique will make you suffer. Tempest kick. Garp's voice suddenly sounded from behind Lei Luo, and at the same time, two incomparably sharp oars swept towards him, making whirring noises wherever they passed, as if cutting the air open. Tempest kick. Seeing the two sharp energy shot before his eyes in the blink of an eye, Lei Luo's eyes froze. Marine 6 styles. If I remember correctly, the Marine 6 styles in the original Pirates was created by Garp, and taught to Marine soldiers who do not understand armament haki and observation haki, greatly enhancing their combat effectiveness. And if Marine 6 styles is used by Garp the Fist of Grandmaster Armament Haki, the power will only increase exponentially. Drink. Lei Luo stood still, breathed out loudly. Why should he be so fancy? I have one power to drop 10 meetings, that's enough. Crush me. The pitch black and deep fist struck out brazenly, and before the surface of the fist touched the sharp energy, the air wave created by the fist had already collided with the sharp energy. It was as if a sharp knife hit a dull iron bar. With a click, the sharp kick from Garp instantly shattered. Advertisement. Ha ha ha, you are more than strong, but not flexible enough. You can't stop the old man's move. Garp's voice came again, not from behind, but from midair. At this moment, Garp was floating in midair. At first glance, he seemed to be standing on the ground with his feet on the ground, but if you look closely, you will find that the soles of his feet are stepping lightly at a frequency so fast that afterimages appear. Moonwalk, one of the Marine 6 styles, is an advanced version of shaved. In theory, it continuously steps on the air at a faster speed than shaved to achieve airborne. Almost at the moment when Lei Luo looked up at the sky, Garp, who was in the air, swung his legs. In just a few short breaths, he kicked nearly 100 feet downwards in a row. Using the Tempest kick method, nearly 100 feet is nearly 100 sharp vigor. Looking at the sharp energy falling down like raindrops in midair, Lei Luo's expression froze, and he exhaled a long breath. The way of breathing changed suddenly. The armament haki that wrapped the whole body faded away instantly. No, to be precise, all the armament haki that was enough to wrap the whole body were condensed on the right arm. In the blink of an eye, the armed blackening of Lei Luo's right arm became extraordinarily deep, and the light around the arm seemed to be dimmed. Concentrate and reach the top. Break. Lei Luo roared loudly, raised his fist to the sky, soared into the sky with arrogance and strength, and at the same time, the ground under Lei Luo's feet collapsed instantly into a large pit with a diameter of more than 3 meters, which was an instant burst of strong reverse thrust caused. The soaring aura instantly disintegrated the sharp aura above Lei Luo's head, and the rest of the sharp aura fell like raindrops and fell directly on the ground, instantly setting off dust and smoke in the sky. Cover. If you look here from a few nautical miles away, the billowing smoke and dust are like a huge hood, directly covering the entire island. However, Lei Luo's aggressiveness did not dissipate. Instead, he slammed into Garp with even greater momentum. Even Garp the Fist couldn't help but change his expression slightly, his breathing style changed suddenly, and the jet black Armament Haki covered his whole body. This kid's fist is too reckless. Using Armament Haki so brutally, isn't he afraid of exhaustion? Chapter 56. The result of the battle that shocked everyone. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. As soon as Garp completed the blackening of his body armor, Lei Luo's explosive force hit him in front of him. Ziz. The air wave is not only tyrannical, but also extremely fast. Being bombarded by this air wave is like being cut by thousands of knives. An incomparably serious look flashed in Garp's eyes. Did the seemingly outrageous vigor actually hide such ingenious skills? Accompanied by a sizzling sound, Garp, who was armed and blackened all over, was emitting sparks all over his body, which was caused by the rapid friction between Armament Haki and the air. Boom. Suddenly, Garp in midair turned into a huge fireball. More and more sparks gathered and ignited the clothes on his body. The wind helped the fire, and it burned instantly. When his strength rested for a while, Garp, who was covered in black, was already dressed in rags. Boom. Garp fell back to the ground. The violent impact made the ground tremble violently. Shaking the ground, he brushed away the sporadic sparks on his body indifferently, and strode towards Lei Luo with fists clenched. An extremely tyrannical breath was released suddenly, swish. As soon as Garp clenched his fist, the air wave centered on him spread instantly, and in the blink of an eye, the surrounding smoke and dust were blown away. Boy, you are very strong and excellent, but the more excellent and powerful you are, the more I have to bring you back. Let's go with the old man, there is no future for being a pirate. Garp loves talents, and makes the final persuasion to Lei Luo. Lei Luo's expression turned cold. If you want to fight, fight, why are there so many nonsense? Garp shook his head and sighed. Then I can only take you back forcibly. Drink. Garp exhaled, and the Armament Haki that originally covered the whole body quickly faded away, and all of them were condensed on his arms. The extremely deep lacquer black gave people the illusion that even the eyes would be swallowed by the pure black after a glance. At the same time, a tyrannical coercion surged towards Lei Luo to suppress him. Drink. Lei Luo also roared loudly, trying to suppress me with his momentum. Advertisement. Daydreaming. A tyrannical coercion surged out from Lei Luo's body, facing Garp's coercion. He went straight up and pushed back 3 points of the coercion released by Garp. With a shake of his right arm and a stomp of his foot, Lei Luo instantly transformed into a jet of black lightning, rushing to Garp without hesitation and punching him out. Boom. The two iron fists were held together, and what came out was no longer the clang of gold and iron, but only the sound of thunder and riot. Boom. Boom. The fists of the two were colliding, and their oars were also colliding. Just the aftermath of the collision caused billows of dust and smoke to rise up into the sky. Garp's dog-headed warship approached slowly, and the turbulent waves caused the warship to shake violently. On the deck, the soldiers couldn't keep their balance at all, and were staggered by the shaking warship. The soldiers looked at the deserted island. Where they could not see people, they could only see the surging waves and the billowing dust covering the entire island, covering the sky and the sun. Thunderous bangs could be heard from the billowing dust and smoke, and sparks would splash from time to time, as if what everyone saw was not an island shrouded in smoke and dust, but a thundercloud full of positive and negative ions. When everyone was paying attention to the island, only Garp's adjutant, Bogart, who had followed Garp to hunt down Roger and fought swords with Pluten Rayleigh, noticed the change in the sky. Goo. He unconsciously swallowed his saliva. Even though he had fought swords with Pluten Rayleigh in the past, he was also shocked by the scene in midair. I saw that the clouds over the island were constantly spreading, with more on the left and slightly less on the right. Every time there is a violent collision like thunder on the island, the clouds in the sky will spread once, lined up on the left and right, and there is a clear distinction. Without the cover of clouds, the sun above the island is extraordinarily bright. That white paper flower Lei Luo, how could he compete with Vice Admiral Garp to such an extent? Even the clouds in the sky were shaken away. What is soaring into the sky? This is rolling into the sky. Time gradually passed, the thunderous roar continued from day to night, the starry night sky gradually faded away, and the dawn sun gradually emerged. Advertisement. Suddenly, the sound of crashing and crashing on the island stopped without warning, and a gust of sea breeze blew past, blowing away the smoke and dust covering the entire island. A figure appeared on the shore. It was an old but majestic tall figure. The marine soldiers on the doghead warship involuntarily opened their mouths. At this time, Garp has been disarmed and blackened, his chest undulates violently like a bellows, his ragged body is covered with more than a dozen bruises, the blood on his forehead keeps dripping down, and the corners of his mouth are bloodshot. The most unbelievable thing was that his right arm was completely stiff, trembling and twitching unnaturally, obviously suffering from serious injuries. Vice Admiral Garp, has he won? An unbelievable tone slowly revealed. Where's that Lei Luo? Where did he go? Is he dead? This guy can actually push Vice Admiral Garp to this point. Vice Admiral Garp injured? No, I must be dreaming. But Lei Luo didn't show up. Could it be that this guy was killed by Vice Admiral Garp? There was a burst of discussion on the dog-headed warship. Although the marine hero Garp was beaten and bleeding, Lei Luo had completely disappeared. But such a scene made it difficult for those island residents of Dressrosa, who kept watching Lei Luo and Garp to fight with binoculars and regarded Lei Luo as a god, to accept it, and even couldn't believe it. On the other hand, the marine side gradually became noisy, filled with shock and excitement. The old man Garp the Fist is still the world's #1 armament haki. Even the white paper flower Lei Luo, who defeated Admiral Aokiji, still lost. Vice Admiral Garp, have you won? The white paper flower Lei Luo should be imprisoned in the lowest prison in the deep sea. Bogart asked tentatively. Shut up. Be quiet. Garp shouted coldly with a straight face, and there was no sound on the noisy warship that was talking about it a second ago. Chapter 57. After the smoke has cleared, the standing figure asking for flowers to evaluate. Advertisement. On the island, the smoke and dust not far from Garp gradually dissipated with the wind, and the first ray of sunlight in the morning slowly poured down, reflecting a blurred figure in the smoke and dust. The hearts of the people watching the battle with binoculars on the city wall of Dressrosa in the distance suddenly tightened, and an indescribable emotion swept over them. The same is true for the Marines on the dog-headed warship, their hearts suddenly hung up, and they raised their throats. That's it, the white paper flower Lei Luo. No, it's impossible, absolutely impossible. Even Mr. Garp is injured like this, that guy should never be able to continue standing. Almost all the Marines are constantly denying and praying in their hearts, denying that the standing figure is Lei Luo, and praying that the white paper flower Lei Luo has been defeated by Mr. Garp. In other words, they are afraid that the insurmountable tall image in their hearts will collapse, afraid that Garp the Fist's undefeated legendary will be broken. Gradually Lei Luo's figure appeared, the clothes on the upper body were completely torn apart in the fierce confrontation, the trousers on the lower body were also ragged, and the natural curly long hair that was originally tied behind his head was scattered in a mess. However, there is a tyrannical aura constantly surging above that still tall and unshakable body. Then, did that guy stand up again? A Marine asked in surprise with narrowed eyes. Impossible, under the fist of Vice Admiral Garp, how could he stand up? A feeling of doubt and disbelief spread rapidly, and quickly swept through the entire warship. Everyone looked at each other, and they could see the shock in each other's eyes. Gradually, the dense fog cleared away completely, and everything on the island began to be revealed. Lei Luo's armed blackening had already been removed, and there was a glaring fist mark on his slightly sunken chest, with bruises all over his body. Blood oozes from the corner of the mouth, and the bloodstains that have dried up and scabs almost cover half of the body. The front and rear arm bones of the left arm are misaligned, and the calf bone of the right leg is also misaligned, so he can only touch the ground with his toes. The Marines on the dog-headed warship looked at each other, their eyes exuded a kind of weirdness, as if they were mocking this guy for being like this, but they were still trying to be brave. I'm worried about something, obviously Vice Admiral Garp is better. Aren't you holding on and refusing to fall? Hey, I've been taught such a bad lesson. I'm afraid it will fall if I push it lightly with one finger. Advertisement. Hee, there is no point in holding on and refusing to fall. If you lose, you lose. This time, this guy will probably be imprisoned in the deepest prison under the sea. Grandpa Garp is invincible. Invincible. Just when the Marines were cheering for Garp, Lei Luo turned his head sharply, his cold eyes swept out, and the noisy dog-headed warship fell silent for an instant. But anyone who met Shang Lei Luo's cold gaze would involuntarily have a feeling of falling into an ice cellar. There was a sneer at the corner of Lei Luo's mouth, he turned his head and gave Garp a meaningful look, then stomped on the ground with one foot, and suddenly flew into the air, his figure disappeared from everyone's sight. Vice Admiral Garp, why do you? Seeing Lei Luo fleeing away, Bogart looked at Garp inquiringly. Garp jumped onto the boat and ordered concisely, go, pick up Aokiji, and head back. Yes, although everyone was full of doubts, no one disobeyed Garp's order. On the deck, Garp took a deep breath, recalling the battle that lasted all night, even he couldn't help being shocked. This Lei Luo is simply a lunatic, the kind who doesn't want to die. This guy doesn't pay attention to defense at all when fighting, or he doesn't bother to defend at all. Just pure offense, constant attack, uninterrupted attack like a storm. Even if he was punched fiercely, he would fight back with a faster speed and a stronger fist, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that it was an injury for life. This fighting style is simply more straightforward than that Kaido of the beasts with the strongest physical body. However, what puzzles Garp the most is that judging from the profundity of this Lei Luo Armament Haki, it is obvious that he has just started tempering his bones, which is several realms behind him. But this kid's physical strength was on par with him, coupled with the uninterrupted strong attack, he was forced to the point of exhaustion. These old subordinates only saw Lei Luo's miserable situation and thought he had won. Hey, it's ridiculous, they don't know that there are many internal injuries and hidden injuries in his body now, and they don't know what price he paid to let Lei Luo just give up and leave. Advertisement. Meanwhile, the coastal marina of Dressrosa. Aokiji, who fought fiercely with the two ghosts all night, was left with only a pair of trousers. Marines, justice, cloak, suit, etc. were all smashed in the fierce battle all night. What's worse, he now has dozens of bruises all over his body, and Armament Haki's functioning is also on the verge of limit. This battle was so frustrating. Devil Fruit's ability is completely restricted, and he can only use Armament Haki and Observation Haki to fight those two guys. The guy who can turn into a ghost is really difficult to deal with, he has strong physical fitness, super fighting ability, and has the ability to quickly recover from injuries. The other guy is not weak either, he has a strong military and knowledge base, and the two teamed up to force him into danger several times. Not far away, the ghost man agent turned into a solid body, swung the huge hammer and crutches like a windmill, and there was a trace of fatigue in his eyes, but there was no injury on his whole body. As for Rudolph, he always hides in the dark to assist Akin, try not to confront Aokiji head-on, and waits for a sneak attack. Suddenly, Aokiji with observation haki fully turned on seemed to sense something, and suddenly turned around and looked back. Boom! A black shadow fell to the ground, setting off dust and smoke in the sky. Seeing who came, Aokiji's heart sank instantly. It was Lei Luo. This guy appeared here, could it be that Mr. Garp? Aokiji didn't dare to think anymore, but the tip of his nose was instantly covered with beads of sweat. These two guys have already entangled him exhaustively, plus Lei Luo's words, he will definitely fall here today. Chapter 58. An unknown deal with Garp, seek comments and flowers. Advertisement. Seeing Lei Luo covered in bruises, Agent and Rudolph were shocked. Aren't Marines all guys who don't deserve their names? That Garp the Fist is really as powerful as the rumors say. Can he hurt boss Lei Luo like this? Aokiji's expression froze, his face quickly became heavy, and he quickly began to squeeze energy from the cells all over his body. It seemed that he was going to work hard today. Lei Luo's eyes skipped directly from Aokiji. Akin, Rudolph, go back. As soon as the words fell, Lei Luo slightly bent one leg, and his leg muscles burst out with explosive strength in an instant. He jumped up, rising and falling, and directly straddled half of Dressrosa. Agent and Rudolph looked at each other. Although they were puzzled, they resolutely carried out Lei Luo's order, leaving Aokiji behind and chasing Lei Luo away. Boom! Accompanied by a dull falling sound, Lei Luo landed steadily at the gate of the palace, and the ground trembled, waking up the dying Doflamingo hanging on the wall. Doflamingo opened his eyes with some difficulty, and was hanged here these days without water or rice. The sun, the rain, the wind, and the handcuffs and shackles made of seastone restricted Devil Fruit's ability, and he was already extremely weak. But when he saw Lei Luo who was covered in bruises, half of his body was stained with blood, and his left arm and right leg were clearly dislocated and fractured, he immediately regained his spirits. His expression suddenly became distorted and weird, and he roared excitedly, "Who is this? Hey, isn't this the Whitebeard Pirates Chief Lieutenant, Vice Captain Lei Luo? Hee, it seems that you haven't secured my life as the underground emperor of Dressrosa Island. I told you that you won't be too arrogant for long. Which big boss helped me avenge me? Please let Deputy Captain Lei Luo tell me, I must thank him very much." A sneer twitched at the corner of Lei Luo's mouth, he stomped on the ground with one leg, jumped up, grabbed Doflamingo, and pulled down fiercely with an explosion of strength. Ah! Doflamingo's screams resounded instantly, and his bloodless face suddenly turned pale. Advertisement. Blood seeped down from the wall, and only a pair of arms were left on the seastone handcuffs that originally held Doflamingo. Lei Luo's brutal yank actually broke his arms. Doflamingo's expression was distorted by the pain, and deep hatred surged in his eyes. Even so, he still shouted frantically, "Lei Luo, you'd better kill me now. Otherwise, what you did to me today, I will retaliate to you 1,000 times in the future. Look at your current appearance, you can't even stand firmly, today is probably your death day. Hee, Doflamingo, you're still so stubborn." Lei Luo sneered. This kind of smile gave Doflamingo a chill. Lei Luo didn't bother to talk to him at the moment, and directed to a Jin who was chasing him. Akin, cut off his tongue and throw him to Garp. Before the "you" in Doflamingo's mouth could be said, Jin's fist came down. With a muffled bang, Doflamingo's upper jaw was directly smashed, and blood gushed out. Jin grabbed Doflamingo's bloody tongue, pulled it out, and tore it. The sound of muscle fibers breaking can be heard. Doflamingo's mouth was covered with blood, and his eyes were also bloodshot when he stared at Lei Luo. He kept groaning, but he couldn't say a word. Boom! Suddenly there was a gunshot from the coastal pier, and Lei Luo raised his eyes. This was the signal he had agreed with Garp. Nodding towards Jin picked up the whining Doflamingo on the ground, turned into a ghost, his strength increased sharply, and with a sudden force of his arm, he threw it directly towards the direction of the coastal pier. According to the agreement between Lei Luo and Garp, by handing over Doflamingo, Garp will no longer be able to shoot Dressrosa, and keep silent about the process of the previous battle. I have to say that this old guy's armament haki is really tough, even if he fights to the point where his hands and feet are dislocated and fractured, he still can't really defeat him. It would be of no benefit to anyone to continue the fight, and there was not much time left for him to rush back to the headquarters of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce to deal with the pure gold. Garp also understands this truth. Lei Luo's physical strength is invincible, even if his weaponry is worse than him. If Lei Luo attacks Marine's ship if the fight continues, both sides will suffer. In this case, advertisement. Garp asked him to hand over Doflamingo as an explanation to the government of the world. Of course. However, he is only responsible for handing over Doflamingo, as for whether it is complete or not, he can't control it. Cut off Doflamingo's tongue, broke off this guy's arms, those unspoken secrets should be able to keep for a long time. 10 seconds later, at the coastal pier, Doflamingo's figure fell heavily on the plywood of the dog-headed warship, and was immediately surrounded by marine soldiers holding flintlock guns. Garp glanced at Doflamingo, and clenched his fist suddenly. This Lei Luo is playing such a trick with him. Even if you bring Doflamingo back now, it's just a bunch of useless people in the submarine prison. Looking at the marine soldiers surrounding Doflamingo, Garp ordered, "Stop surrounding him, send him to treatment, and don't let him die." The deck was suddenly busy. Garp looked at Aokiji, who was covered in White's cold air on the shoreline, and shouted, "Kuzan, let's go." Aokiji jumped onto the deck, and the temperature on the deck suddenly dropped by more than 10 degrees. After leaving the two subordinates of Lei Luo, his frozen fruit ability was restored, and the injuries accumulated from the fierce battle all night also recovered. "Master, my abilities have recovered. Lei Luo is now seriously injured. I should take down Dressrosa in one go." Garp shook his head and said, "Bring back Doflamingo. We have an explanation for this mission. Let's call it a day." Aokiji frowned, and his whole body was filled with chills. Lei Luo's strength has improved rapidly compared to more than a month ago. If this trend continues, if we miss this opportunity, we may never be able to catch him again. Garp walked to the bow without saying a word, and Aokiji hurriedly followed. "If you don't give the order, I will give the order myself." In terms of relationship, Aokiji was brought out by Garp, so Garp is naturally respected. But in terms of position, he Aokiji Kuzan is admiral. Chapter 59. Injury to the Foundation, irreversible injury. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Garp's face twisted slightly, as if he was holding back something. "Your boy is usually lazy, so this time you were so active. Is it a personal grudge?" Aokiji's expression froze, but he didn't deny it. "That's right. Since he fell in Lei Luo's hands last time, he has been trying to get this place back. Now that the opportunity came, Mr. Garp asked him to give up, which is really unacceptable." Garp let out a long breath, and the tyrannical aura emanating from his body suddenly subsided, and the dozens of bruises on his body also spread at a speed visible to the naked eye. Hiss. Garp frowned. His body brushed against the scars all over his body, he gasped for breath, and a thin layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Aokiji's pupils shrank fiercely. How could this happen? It turned out that the old man was not seriously injured, but he had been using haki to suppress the internal and hidden injuries all over his body. It's unbelievable that Lei Luo could hurt the old man like this. The old man is the first armament haki in the world. How many days and nights did he train this incomparably powerful armament haki? But how old is Lei Luo? Only 24 years old. You can beat the old man with bruises all over his body now. If you let him go for a while, who else in this sea can stop him? As if he could read Aokiji's mind, Garp gritted his teeth and said, "Don't worry, the World War I just hit his foundation hard, and he won't be able to recover in 7 or 8 years. To deal with him, we still have a lot of time." He said so, but Garp kept replaying the previous battle with Lei Luo in his mind. Instead of calling this kid a genius, it would be better to call him a monster. Not only is his armed force strong, but his physical strength is almost endless, and his reaction nerves and fighting intuition are not much worse than him. Even Garp the Fist couldn't help his heart palpitations in the momentum of fighting so desperately, exchanging injuries for lives. Advertisement. Spicy sports moments. 25 top photos. Europress. How 7+ size models are shaping the future of fashion. Inspire. The most terrible thing is that the fist that this kid unleashes is enough to move Yunxiao, causing a slight phenomenon of heaven and earth. If this momentum continues, in another 4 or 5 years, he may even master the armed skills. At that time, no one can really stop him. As a marine, he could never tolerate the birth of such a monster in the sea. Even if he suffered internal injuries, he would forcibly damage Lei Luo's cultivation foundation. Although he succeeded in the end, the internal and hidden injuries were enough for him to cultivate for a year or so, and it was difficult for Armament Haki to make any progress in his cultivation. Of course, as long as Lei Luo is restrained, all this will be worth it. Knowing about Garp's injuries, Aokiji no longer persisted. Although Lei Luo was seriously injured, the old man was also injured. If he chased rashly and his frozen fruit ability was suppressed again, the consequences would be disastrous. The kobold warship started to move, and gradually sailed away from the territorial waters of Dressrosa. Almost at the same time, the underground port of Dressrosa was used by Doflamingo to smuggle weapons and special ores, and it was hidden in a huge cave. Tiger Head Sea Kings is crawling on the sea surface, revealing a huge tiger head. "Boss, are you really okay?" Ghost Agent looked worried. He had never seen Lei Luo's boss hurt like this. Lei Luo waved his hand. The radiation blocking time of quasi-pure gold is only 48 hours, and it took more than 10 hours to fight against Garp and the others, so we must hurry back to the headquarters. When I'm away, Dressrosa will be handed over to you. Remember, this country can be abandoned, but the Devil Fruit Factory must not have any accidents. Yes, Ah Jin sonorously responded. Lei Luo slightly bent his knees and jumped directly on top of Tiger Head Sea Kings with one leg. "Let's go." Tiger Head Sea King starts moving like a large sea ship. Sitting on top of the Tiger Head One Piece class, Lei Luo called out the system interface, and the mission prompt popped up. Give a profound lesson to Aokiji who came to Dressrosa. The task is completed. Congratulations to host for receiving the task reward. Attribute points +40. This was expected by Lei Luo. In the previous battle, Aokiji was extremely aggrieved by the two ghosts who beat the door. This lesson has been profound enough. Lei Luo put 40 attribute points on Armament Haki without hesitation. Armament Haki is the power derived from refining one's own chi and blood to ultimate. Every time Armament Haki is improved, fatigue will be eliminated and injuries will be restored. Advertisement. This is also the reason why Lei Luo dared to go to sea without treatment. Boom. As the 40 attribute points were exhausted, there was a faint sound of dragon's chant coming from Lei Luo's body, and a wave of heat spread from the spine, first covering the tailbone completely from top to bottom, and then upstream, warm and nourish the left shoulder blade, and spread it all the way down. It didn't stop abruptly until it covered half of the back arm bone of the left arm, and the heat slowly dissipated. Lei Luo took a deep breath, and the dark and profound Armament Haki instantly covered the whole body. The parts that have completed the blackening of the skeleton armament are obviously much faster than the parts that have not completed the blackening of the skeleton. Lei Luo clenched his left fist, his bones reset, and he recovered as before. If this arm had also been armed and blackened, it would never have been broken by Garp in the previous battle. Tried to run Armament Haki again, Lei Luo's complexion changed visibly. Garp that B*************** D, damn it. Although the bones are reset under the effect of Armament Haki's upgrade, Armament Haki's running speed has dropped by 50%, obviously because the foundation was injured in the previous battle. Worse yet, this injury cannot be healed with the Armament Haki upgrade. Looking at the task in the task bar, defeat Garp the Fist, Lei Luo clenched his fists hard, D, you wait for me. Lei Luo took out his phone bug and called Karina, who was the smartest and capable, send someone to Dressrosa immediately to replace Akin, and let Agent and Rudolph escort Manchueli to the headquarters. Manchueli's healing fruit is not pure healing, strictly speaking, it is restoration, restoring living and non-living bodies to their original state. In the original work of the pirates, it was Manchueli who used her ability to restore the messy Dressrosa after the war. On the other end of the phone, Karina said softly, no problem, I have sent the 3 demons to leave. But, boss, you have to come back as soon as possible, there is not much time left. How else can I say that Karina is smart and capable? The 2 ghosts who knocked the door showed their faces in the battle with Marine, and they were facing Marine Admiral Aokiji. It is inevitable to be wanted for a reward, and they must jump from the dark to the bright. Dressrosa's job is better left to someone who has never shown his face in the organization. Chapter 60. Lei Luo frustrated, Sengoku overjoyed. Ask for flower evaluation votes. Advertisement. Naval Headquarters, Marineford, in Marshal Sengoku's office. Marshal Sengoku sat behind the desk, and Staff Crane handed over a document. Vegapunk has agreed, and the first batch of PX pacifists can be mass-produced at any time, with a batch size of 1,000 units. 1,000 units. Sengoku was stunned for a moment, with a slightly displeased look on his face. These people who engage in science are stubborn, they usually hide, and they have to threaten them to stop their research funding before they will cooperate. Staff officer, he shook his head. You are wrong. The entire naval headquarters dared to directly point out Sengoku's wrong estimate as only Staff Crane. The final transformation of the PX pacifist has not been completed, this batch is purely mechanical for temporary calibration, and it is a one-time product. Instant use, instant disposal. Although the firepower and accurate recognition can be guaranteed, after use, the recovery rate of consumables is less than 30%, and the consumption of marine funds is also astronomical. Such a large expense, you must personally sign and be responsible. Without waiting for Sengoku to speak, Staff Crane added, also. This technology was originally used to deal with pirates as the ultimate weapon, but now it appears in advance in the form of consumables, and it will completely lose the suddenness against pirates. If the siege failed this time, have you thought about the consequences? Sengoku took a deep breath, 1,000 consumables. Sengoku gritted his teeth and picked up a pen to sign the document. Let's do it. What we need most now is troops. As long as we win against Whitebeard and capture Roger's evil blood, everything will be fine. Staff Officer Crane nodded noncommittally, and then said, Gecko Moria, Mahawk, and Hancock Boya have all agreed to be recruited forcibly. These 3 have returned with the warship. Only Hexia Jinbei refused. According to news, the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, the flag has been planted on the Fishman Island. This guy probably thinks he no longer needs the title of 7 Warlords of the Sea. Sengoku sneered. To deal with these pirates, we still need to use tough methods. Since Jinbei has repeatedly refused, then he will be deprived of the title of 7 Warlords of the Sea. Counting the vacancies of Doflamingo, there are currently 2 vacancies in 7 Warlords of the Sea. Send invitations to Trafalgar Law and Edward Wable. For the battle with Whitebeard, we must recruit all our forces. Trafalgar Law, one of the pirate supernovas with a bounty of over 100 million. Edward Wable, who claims to be the blood of Whitebeard, is indeed as powerful as the young Whitebeard. Advertisement. If these 2 join the Shichibukai, the battle against the Whitebeard pirates will be more assured. Blue, blue, blue. The phone bug on the desk suddenly rang out. Sengoku picked it up and connected. This is Naval Headquarters, I am Marshal Sengoku. Aokiji's lazy voice came from the other end of the phone. Marshal, we have returned with Doflamingo. In addition, Vice Admiral Garp has severely damaged the foundation of Bezihuil Lei Luo's cultivation. After 7 or 8 years, this guy will never be able to recover. As the task completed, Sengoku slapped the table heavily. Ha 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 ha, good. Well done. Tell Garp, when he comes back, the Marshal will personally celebrate him. Hanging up the phone bug, Sengoku clenched his fists in bursts of excitement. Staff officer, he asked. Did Garp catch Lei Luo? Sengoku shook his head. Staff Officer Crane's face changed slightly, and an imperceptible look of joy appeared in his eyes. Could it be that Garp killed him? Sengoku pretended to be off-putting, then shook his head. Staff Officer, he was speechless for a while. Then what are you talking about? Sengoku laughed so much that there were 3 more forehead lines on his forehead. Kuzan sent back news that our old brother Garp ruined Lei Luo's cultivation foundation. In 7 or 8 years, this kid will never be able to slow down. Ha ha ha, this come on, even the sky is on our side. Before the battle begins, break Whitebeard's arm first, and the scale of victory has already begun to tilt towards them. After listening to Sengoku's words, Staff Officer Crane could no longer hide the joy in his eyes. This is more valuable than killing or capturing alive, and it is also a big blow to the morale of the Whitebeard pirates and the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Bang bang. Advertisement. As soon as the words fell, there was a short knock on the door. Come in. Sengoku immediately regained the majestic demeanor a marine should have. The messenger opened the door and came in, saluted with a snap first, and then handed over a stack of photos. Marshal, this is the latest news from the news agency. Understood, you step back. Sengoku ordered, picked up the photo and looked at it. Lei Luo was in ragged clothes and bruised all over his body. Even through the photos, you can clearly see the serious injuries of Lei Luo's left arm and right leg bone dislocation and fracture. Sengoku has a smile on his old face, like an old chrysanthemum blooming in the wind, and he sighed with pride. Oh, this is how news agencies should be used. As long as they don't publish news indiscriminately, it will still be of great help to us. Look, Suru, Garp really did a great job for Marine this time. Staff Officer Crane took the photos with a smile on his old face. These photos not only showed Lei Luo being beaten to death, but also Garp standing upright and confronting Lei Luo. If these photos were published in newspapers, they would definitely be popular Marine military power. White Paper Flower Lei Luo, no matter how high he jumps, he will still be suppressed by Marine honestly. I'm afraid Jinbei will regret it now. Sengoku waved his hand. That's his business, since he's on the team, he's responsible for his choice. Suru, you write the press release yourself and hand it over to the news agency for release, this matter will be done immediately. Yes, I'll do it right away.